Welcome back to Factory Sealed. It is May 20th, 2018. My name is Eric Peterson, and joining me today, Mr. Mike Tyson.
It's just a me, it's just a Mike Tyson, that's all you get, there's no one else.
Can I trade in?
Depends. I'm not like a Pokemon. I'll trade you this Tyson for your Zubat!
What's your final form? Just a wad of, like, drain hair?
Just cousin It from the Addams Family.
Yeah. No, that's your beginning form is just drain hair, and then you're the middle form, and then just cousin It is third.
Yeah, I'd go with that.
Yeah.
But like a dark-haired version, because he was what, he? Was it he? She? It?
I think, well that's the purpose. It was It.
Well, I'm sure in the film, he ends up with a wife and a child. Because they call the child what?
Yeah, but is his wife's name Huh? Or something like that? It, Huh?
No
And what?
It, what, and what?
Huh?
Huh?
I don't know.
Howdy, stranger!
Howdy! Oh!
Oh, it's it and what?
You done got a baby!
Oh, we got to be careful with the volume. I think we destroyed some luggles last week.
Oh, yeah. Sorry about last week. That got out of control.
Yeah, just a little. We had quite a few people comment on how they... yeah, it was hard to get through, apparently.
I mean, we may have topped the Monty episode.
Oh, poor Monty.
Yeah, poor Monty.
Montgomery Glover, bringer of headaches.
Destroyer of minds.
He'll take that as a compliment, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
So how are you, Eric?
I'm just peachy.
Just peachy?
If I were any better, there would need to be two of me.
You'd be lemony.
Bit grapey.
I'm more kiwi-y.
Ooh. I mean, I like kiwis, but... Did you ever used to eat the hair on kiwis?
No. Can't say I ever have.
I always did when I was a kid. And then I realized, you know what? It's just better without.
See, if I eat, like, something that's hairy, it's essentially cannibalism. Although, right, I say that, I'm not actually a very hairy man. I think I've mentioned this on the show before, yeah.
No, we actually discovered that, I think we had this conversation in Tom's flat.
Yeah, on the live show, possibly.
Yeah, that's when... No, it was that first night when we were all having the slumber party in Tom's living room. And...
Yeah, but I think we actually mentioned it on the live show as well. Because I brought up that guy who tattooed my chest, who, like, said, oh, I'm going to have to shave your chest. And then, like, shaved off the one hair and went, oh, guess we're done.
Which is surprising, because your head is covered in hair.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Covered in hair.
That's Mike's tagline, just Mike Tyson covered in hair.
Doesn't it like burnt hair?
Ooh. I mean, nobody likes that. That'd be a terrible cologne smell.
Yeah, just a little. I did manage to, like, burn a load of, like, a big stump of my hair off one time when I was drunk. I got my head too close to a candle.
Oh, nice.
I woke up the next morning, just had this, like, stump, like, right in front of my head.
What the fuck happened here?
That didn't grow back for a while.
Oh. Did you end up cutting off the singed ends? Get rid of that smell?
No, I rubbed it, man. I rubbed it.
Yeah? Just rocked that homeless burnt hair look.
I was living in Lincoln at the time. You should have seen all the kids. They were burning bits of their hair off.
Oh, yeah.
Right, and center.
You're a trendsetter from what I hear.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Candles were sold out across town.
You have to get that authentic candle burn. That's what it is.
Yes, but you got to get drunk first.
Yeah, it helps. Helps with the pain.
Yeah. How are you, Mike, aside from the hair?
I'm pretty good. I've just been round a friend's house, had a lovely chicken dinner.
Ooh.
Yeah, didn't think I'd make it around for the show. The weather's lovely here as well. You could argue it's not chicken dinner weather, but I don't care.
Chicken dinner weather needs to be mildly cold with a hint of terrible outside.
Yeah, I keep wanting to have a barbecue because the weather's just been fucking fantastic here, but like my barbecue hasn't been cleaned since the last time it was used last summer. So
I get the impression barbecues aren't popular over there.
They are. The problem with having a barbecue in the UK is that you literally have to wake up on the morning and then try and organise everyone to come round for the barbecue. You can't organise them in advance because the weather changes so often. So you could say, oh, let's have a barbecue this weekend on, like, the Monday. Then, like, Tuesday it'll be, no, it's going to rain this weekend, barbecue's off. Wednesday, it's back on. Thursday, it's off. And then you get to Friday. So you just got to hope that loads of people are free on the morning that the weather's nice.
See, here in Arizona, where the winters are lovely, you can have a barbecue any day of any week because it will most likely be sunny.
Oh, I would be out there grilling every day.
Just in your dad jeans and your dad sneakers.
Wearing an apron that says hail to the chef.
Yeah, or kiss the chef or something dumb.
And not one of those ones where it's like a naked body on the front, though. They're a bit tacky.
Yeah, but I feel like at some point you have to have one of those. But if you're not wearing those white New Balance shoes...
Oh, you're roboting, Eric. There's something chronic.
Well, yeah, that's my new robot voice that I'm trying out.
Oh, right. It sounds just like Dan.
I finally got that accent down.
The Dan 2030 accent. Oh, yes, very good, Dan. What else do you have to say on that? Beep, beep, Daniel. Beep, beep.
Beep, beep. Speaking of Dan, where is he?
Apparently working, but we saw him on Discord.
Yeah, likely excuse, Mr. Curtis.
He's jacking it to that little cloud. That's what he's doing.
Oh, yeah. I have known him for 7 years now. Not known him
and
to work...
6 years. He spent 6 years of that jacking it.
To cloud.
Yeah.
I've never known him to work on a Sunday, so convenient excuse. And that picture just showed up on Friday, so the cards all align, Dan, and it's at the center of his low ceiling. That's prime jacking it material.
Yeah, it outright says here, yeah, online.
Yeah.
Frosted Sloth. There he is.
Right there. It's yellow, which is the universal signal for don't bother me, I'm jacking it.
It could be jacking it at work, to be fair.
Oh, hopefully not.
Give it spare time. When I was younger, there was a friend of mine who he was a bit older than us, and he'd started working at a like a cake factory as like a part-time job. And he used to be like, one time he got drunk and started going, I'm a bakery boy, I bake all day and I bake all night, right? And then a few days later, he told us that like his job was really boring and he had spent some time jacking it in the toilet. And then we had this massive house party at another friend's house, and his mum came back. And this friend who worked at the cake factory was like drunk, and this guy's mum came in, and he just stood at the top of the stairs, and she was at the bottom, obviously fuming, and he just goes, I'm a bakery boy, I wank all day and I wank all night. Let's just say she wasn't very happy.
You gotta have a sense of humor with kids. Come on now.
Yeah, true. It's true. She wound him up about it later. She was obviously angry at the time, but do you remember what you said to me? About what you get up to at work?
They're obviously not keeping you busy.
No, obviously not. Keeping yourself busy, that's for sure.
Well, you got to keep that mind occupied.
True.
But I think Dan's actually home. His excuse was, I'll be tired and hungry.
I sit at a computer all day. I've got time to Photoshop Eric's faces onto silly pictures, and it's so tiring.
I had to walk across campus last week. Oh!
I had to walk all the way to the canteen and order my own sausage roll.
Poor Dan.
Yeah.
Poor Dan. Tom actually has an excuse, though. I think Tom leaves this week.
Yeah, that's it.
That is it.
That's it.
Toodaloo,
Canadian Reagan.
England. Yes. That needs to stick.
Yeah, so Zach Foley on the Facebook group has realised that Canadian Reagan sounds a lot like Canadian bacon. And I'm down with that.
I can dig it.
Although, what is Canadian bacon? What's that like?
It's just a different form of ham. Mike, have you not listened to the penis bacon episode?
Yes, but I may have forgotten.
Nah, it's just
I've been on this show for a while. The brain cells take a
yeah. I mean, now it's acceptable. It is inferior bacon, is really what it is.
Did you try British bacon while you were over here?
I did, and what did I say that it was?
I can't remember.
It wasn't good. I'm going to look up a picture of it to jog the old memory.
How dare you?
Oh, British bacon is pretty much the same as what it is in Australia, which we referred to as dick bacon, because it's got the Canadian bacon along with the American bacon. So it's the best of it's the best bacon that's tarnished by the worst bacon.
Omni bacon.
So it just kind of comes out as neutral bacon.
So just bacon.
Nah, I mean, it's just kind of like this void of nothingness. It's like taking an upper and a downer at the same time. It just does nothing.
You just basically have 2 pieces of bread rather than a bacon sandwich.
Yeah, just a bread sandwich. So it's 3 pieces of bread. Have you ever made a sandwich like that where when I was a kid, if I was really hungry and I wanted a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, but I didn't want 2 of them, I'd make a triple. So I'd put 3 pieces of bread. It'd be like a double-decker hamburger. So it'd be peanut butter jelly, bread, peanut butter jelly, bread, and then bread on the bottom as well.
Oh yeah, I've done that shit.
It's like the 1.5 sandwich.
I always want to try that. It's on Friends, isn't it? Where Ross goes mental because his sandwich gets eaten, but he really loves his sandwich because Monica puts a gravy-soaked piece of bread as the middle bit.
Ooh,
I think they call it the moist maker.
That was my nickname in high school.
Yeah. You only referred to yourself.
Yes. Hey, ladies, you want to go on a date with the moist maker? Get away from me!
Oh, you come see the whole Peterson if you want.
Sorry.
Who are you apologizing to?
Just myself. You're better than that.
Too true.
Too true.
True, my friend. Too true. Yeah. But yeah, to answer your question, yeah, I'm very, very good.
Good.
I did hit a semi with my semi this week.
And in British terms, that means you hit a boner with your boner.
Yep, exactly.
Don't cross swords, Mike.
Don't get into a cockfight.
Yeah.
I hit another lorry with my lorry.
How'd that go over?
It was all right. The guy whose lorry I hit, because obviously when you turn a lorry, the headboard kind of goes forward still, doesn't it? And my headboard and my trailer basically hit the back of his, and it bent a piece of metal, so he couldn't close his back doors, which means he couldn't leave until someone come to repair his lorry.
What are you talking about? The headboard, like on your bed?
Like the front of the trailer. So you've got the tractor unit, and then you got the trailer,
The truck, and the trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you guys called them tractor units. I would have called them tractor too, but
This here's my tractor unit.
I thought that's what they call it in
They're
America.
called trucks, semi-trucks.
Well, you can blame Michael Cole on WWE for confusing me.
Yeah.
Because there was a wrestler a while ago who lifted a truck, just the truck bit, the unit, over, and he said, "Oh, he's lifting that tractor!"
Well, I mean, a tractor is something that farmers use.
Yeah, well, that's what it is over here, but I thought you guys referred to it, and I was appealing to the American audience, Eric.
Oh. I mean, nice try.
By getting it wrong, obviously.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you've got the actual truck, then you've got the trailer, haven't you?
Yeah.
So, obviously, you've got the front of the trailer, that's the headboard of the trailer. So, obviously, when you turn the actual trailer, the front of the trailer still kind of keeps going. But, yeah, it, fucked to the back of his trailer, and he had to basically wait for a repair. And
you just lean out the window, deuces, I'm out!
I got chatting to him, and he was like, "Oh, well, another lorry hit my lorry last week as well, and I had to wait for a repair as well." Made me feel more fucking guilty. Poor guy.
Oh. Sorry.
But it was fine. Everyone seemed cool. That's what insurance is for.
Yeah.
That sort of shit.
At least you got to keep going.
Yeah, true. Only added an hour onto my day. I don't know what it added for him.
Ugh. So yeah, I think Tom flies out Thursday for Canada Land.
Yeah, crazy.
It's Wednesday or Thursday. I mean, that is a one-way ticket.
He seems relatively calm about it.
Yeah, I mean, Tom's a pretty calm guy.
Yeah. He just seems to. I think he just wants to get over there, doesn't he?
Yeah, that's the hardest part, the
time
anticipation of it.
Been a long time coming.
Yeah, I'm excited for it, though.
Oh, of course, yeah. You're like near him.
He'll only be 3 hours ahead. We can actually play games together at night.
Yeah. There's been a few times when, like, I've been on, like, a Saturday evening, like, I could play some online games with Eric, and I think, oh, no, you're freaking going to bed soon. God damn it, Eric.
I know.
We should organise a Mario Kart with the Facebook group again at some point.
I think Dan will play. Oh, no, he never held up his end of the deal.
No, he didn't, did he?
Yeah. Well played, Mr. Curtis.
Just got away with that one. If I don't mention it, it'll be fine.
I'll be good. Oh, man, it's out of stock everywhere.
Granger Games has gone into administration. How
I was
terrible.
going to use all of my gift cards that I had. I had just enough for Mario. Oh, I actually had enough to get a Pro controller, too.
Oh, but they're out of stock, too.
I can't be bothered to pay actual money.
I need to save it up for dollary dues.
Gotta go to Australia.
Other hat awaits.
Oh, sorry, Dan.
Or as they say here in Yorkshire, t'otherette.
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 Yeah, you gotta be settling in there pretty well.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Pretty good. Yeah. Things are on the up, Eric. Don't you worry.
Well, good. Good.
Especially my dick.
Oh, put another joke on the dick joke chart.
Since I accidentally said put another joke, you have said joke every single time.
I know, it's one of those things that you hear it and it's so bad that it just takes over. It just rewrites it. I caught it as soon as I said it. Like, just roll with it. Just go.
Yeah. Too true.
Speaking of penis joke chart, all of the packages have arrived to everybody for the shirts.
Hooray! There's people with our idiocy on their chests.
I'm sorry.
No, a big thank you to everyone who ordered one of those.
Oh, yeah.
We've started getting some pictures in, and they look fantastic. Obviously, I've not seen them in person yet. You have.
Yeah, they look real good. I need to get your package together, but I'm putting some additional things in yours.
Oh, if you send me any durian fruit, I am not going to be happy.
Too late? I've got to order a bunch more American flags.
Just hide them within the package.
I mentioned this in our WhatsApp group, but as soon as I mailed all those packages, I kicked myself because I sat back in my car and went, shit, I know what I forgot. I still had 250 or so of those miniature American flags. I was just going to stuff everybody's bag full of them, like hide them inside the shirt so that when they unfold the shirt, they just fall out.
Yeah, don't feel too bad, Eric. I mean, you put a hell of a lot of work into that, so...
Yeah, but it's the fine details, Mike.
Well, you've got all their addresses. Just send everyone, like, you know those letters that, like, as soon as you open the envelope, they explode out?
Oh, yeah, glitter bombs.
Yeah. Just do that, but with the American flags. Maybe, like, blunt the ends.
Yeah, maybe. Or just take the toothpicks off, and it's just the flag itself.
Yeah, do that.
Flag fetty.
So everyone who ordered a shirt, be careful what you open in the mail.
If it comes from an anonymous address, it's probably just American flag.
Everyone who's ordered a t-shirt now would just be very carefully opening all of their post.
Suspicious packages.
The wives and partners are like, what are you doing? It could be a letter bomb! There'll be freedom everywhere! I don't know why any of our listeners who probably talk like that, but...
They talk like the chickens from Oddworld. Oh!
No! No! Freedom!
I know that! The old stars and bars! Oh, glory!
Eric Peterson sent me some freedom!
Oh! Maybe
Could have
that's...
been a stinky turd!
I just thought of a way that Tom can cheer up Kat, because Kat's been pretty down about this whole move. He just needs to walk in and talk to her in that voice.
Yes, Tom, if you're listening, do
She
it.
loved that. Oh, Kat, you ready to get on an airplane?
Oh, we're gonna move to Canada land!
The land of freedom!
Yeah. Well, she's not bummed out about the move. I think
No,
it's
she's
just
not.
Leaving everyone and stuff.
Yeah, that's rough. I mean, we did that
Which is
7 years
understandable.
ago when we moved to Arizona, and we just kind of waited till the weekend before to do all of our goodbyes. Actually, it was like 2 days before.
Yeah.
People
I said
knew-
to Tom, it was like 'cause I did it when I went traveling with my ex-girlfriend, and you start seeing people for the last time like a month or so in advance, and like you're seeing people, you have a teary goodbye, and then like it still doesn't happen, and then you see someone else and there's a teary goodbye, and then you still, the anticipation just builds and builds and builds. You get to a point where you're just like, I want to go now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why we didn't really drag it out. Our family knew it was happening, but we didn't really make a big deal out of it with our friends. We graduated college on a Friday, and then we were gone that following Tuesday or something. So that
We
weekend,
were making love by Wednesday, and on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, we chilled on Sunday.
that's exactly what we did.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. We just stood out in our
Arizona
yard,
on
and
Monday.
people drove by, and we were like, "See ya!"
Just a big like middle finger on the back of the car.
Fuck off, Petersons. Good riddance.
Didn't want you here anyway.
Yeah. Oh, the other thing too, some people have started purchasing those video game quote plaques.
Oh, you have been making some treats, my friend.
It's a good release. Like there's for anybody who doesn't know, I think we talked about this a little bit last show.
You did, yeah.
I've been making these 4x7 video game quote plaques that are supposed to look really profound, and they're just stupid. But a couple people have contacted me like, how can I get one of these? And like, I didn't intend on selling these. I just made them for jokes. And Sarah Irvine wanted one of the Metal Gear Solid ones, and then I sent the Squall one to Juliet, and let's see who else. Oh, Holly Parsons wanted one of the Squall ones, but she's like, can you make it bigger? Like, yeah, so I made this huge ass 8-inch by 14-inch. You're the best looking guy here. It's just so fucking stupid.
You did make one serious one though, and it came out immaculate. That one with Vivi and the
Oh,
the
yeah.
quote about is it the quote about existing?
Yeah, the sorrow. So at the beginning of the game,
Yeah.
if you just sit on the title screen and it cycles through like the teaser trailer of everything, they have these placards.
Sorry, I'm setting the scene for you.
Yeah, I like it. They have those placards with each of the characters, and then they have a different word like sorrow or virtue or indulgence, and then they all have like this little quote beneath them. So my goal is to shut up. It's so hard to focus with that going on.
I was setting the scene. I was trying
I
to
get
create
it.
a bit of atmos.
But when you do that, it's like you fade out. And then you wait for an opening, and then you just ramp back in with the mic volume.
So sorry, no, I better not do that again.
Yeah. That'll get out of hand. But no, I did the VV one first, and that one took all of the other ones. I don't want to say they were easy to do, but all the other ones from like initial conception to on the printer was sub 30 minutes. The VV one was about 2 hours just designing it. And
Worth it though, absolutely worth it.
Oh, yeah.
It's so good.
yeah, it turned out really well. My goal is to have the entire set done by the time we're doing the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think those would be pretty sweet.
The other great one you did yesterday, another funny one, was with Kratos. It just says, boy.
So, I don't know why I didn't think of that one earlier. Like, what's a really profound boy?
It's so obvious.
Oh yeah, that is Kratos.
You should probably do one of the dwarves as well. Fuck you guys, one.
Fuck you, one. Now fuck right along. Sarah Irvine wanted another one too from Bowser in Super Mario RPG, where he has that. It's like the one sentimental moment between Mario and Bowser, where Bowser comes up with this haiku, like the moon over the day, my genius and brawn are lost on these fools. And after that, Mario just kind of pats him on the shoulder. It's like the only sentimental moment between the two.
I've not played Mario RPG, and I avoided the show that you guys did because I don't want to spoil it. But I want to get round to playing that because it's on the SNES Classic.
It's real good, Mike. You really got to play through it, and then you need to follow that up with Superstar Saga.
Superstar Saga,
because it's technically the the unofficial sequel to it.
Because that's the Mario and Luigi game, isn't it? Superstar Saga.
The one that I just
played Partners in Time. I didn't finish it, but I've played it. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah, these ones are... The Mario RPG is a little bit more basic than that. It's your traditional RPG. You know, you don't have the combo moves and stuff like that.
The Partners in Crime one, you have Baby Mario and Luigi Mario as well. So when you're in the actual battles, each of the X, Y, A, and B is for each character. So you have 4 characters in there, each to that, and you have to press the right ones to pull the moves off and things like that. Good fun, real good fun. I should finish that one day.
Yeah, highly recommend it. It was so fun when that game first came out because Mario, up to that point you'd had Super Mario World and you're just doing 2D side scrolling stuff, and you don't really get to experience the Mushroom Kingdom, and just to pop in and bounce between the different worlds was super fun.
Yeah, I will get around to it. As I say, it's on the SNES Classic. So.
And the music is so happy.
Do you do a happy dance?
I do.
Doing a happy dance. Nice.
That's all.
Speaking of Nintendo.
Segway! You can't segue your own segue.
Yeah, well, you were taking too long.
I was thinking about the word.
Let's see. Egg
lay. Egg lay, that's what it is.
Underlay.
Yeah.
So there was a supposed leak about Nintendo's E3 showroom. E3 show.
They're not doing another presentation, are they?
No. It's just like a Nintendo Direct kind of thing, like they did last year.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but have you seen it?
Yeah.
Some of it's believable, but a lot of it is just coming off of rumors that are around yet anyway. But there's a few things on there that are interesting as well. I've got it up on my computer screen, but it's not letting me zoom in for some reason.
Did you try clicking on it?
Yes, and it's just not letting me.
Did you try zooming in on it?
I am trying, and it's not letting me because Facebook's fucking dumb.
Don't say that. Mark Zuckerberg's listening.
Oh shit! I haven't covered up my camera.
He wants to see me all in my glory. He can.
I better get dressed.
Ooh.
But no, the big ones that are kind of on there, like a Punch-Out game. Take or leave, I guess.
I never really got into that.
I can't say, despite my namesake, I've never actually tried one.
Apparently people really like them. Just not my jam.
Yeah, me neither. But the other ones on there, obviously Metroid Prime, which then has the Renegade subtitle as well, which could be interesting. Let's see. But the bits that I definitely found interesting, Fallout 3 Anniversary.
Another port.
Yeah, but since this came out, there's been a leak that apparently that will be coming to Xbox PS4 as well. Like an updated version of that. But
I mean, I really enjoyed Fallout 3.
But do we need it again?
No, absolutely not.
The other interesting one in there was Yoshi's Flipping Island.
So when I first saw that, my initial response was, well, flipping means something else, so this could be a really X-rated Yoshi game.
Nah, I bet there's some mechanic in there where you flip the screen round or something like that.
Yeah, it's probably kind of along the lines of Super Paper Mario.
Yeah, but they that's what they do, isn't it? They come with a mechanic, they'll title it with it, and then just probably overuse it.
I don't know, but I really like all the Yoshi's Island games.
Yeah, me too. There's definitely a place for them. The big one coming off of this, I mean, there's been rumors about this anyway, about the next Pokemon that are going to be coming out, which are rumored to be titled, and that was before this so-called leak came out as well, Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Pokemon Let's Go Eevee. Now this that I'm looking at the moment that's supposedly a spoiler for the Direct, there's been rumors these past week about this happening anyway, and supposedly they're kind of like a pseudo-sequel to Yellow.
And they merge elements of Pokemon Go.
Yes, so by the sounds of it, like Pokemon that you get from Pokemon Go, you'll be able to transfer in and vice versa and things like that. Which is a really neat idea.
It is, but I really changed my mind on Pokemon after Sun and Moon. Really enjoyed them.
You've never been a big fan, have you?
No, I mean, I just never played it. I think I missed that window. And I kind of wish I wouldn't have, because after playing Pokemon Sun, I really enjoyed it. But this just doesn't appeal to me. I really got into Pokemon Go for a while. My mom and I would get together on weekends and go Pokemon hunting. And it was just a way for us to spend more time together. But it's kind of run its course with me.
Yeah, me too. I got bored of it very quickly. But I never really did any of the battling or anything like that.
Yeah, we had some buddies that, we were always trying to take over gyms and stuff like that. But it just kind of burned out really quick because it just takes a lot of time.
Yeah. I mean, do you remember when it first released, though? And just everyone was out. You just saw people everywhere walking with their phones out and chatting to each other and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. It was great. It was really, a cultural phenomenon.
Time. Yeah.
Because places that were traditionally empty. So here in Phoenix, we have parks along the lake. And they're not usually teeming with people. But we went down there one time. It's just bustling with people because word would get out that there's a Pokemon down here, and then you'd see a group of people somewhere and you would just assume that they're Pokemon hunting. But we'd be walking through downtown and we'd see other people playing it, and we'd ask them like, "Oh, did you get anything cool anywhere?" And they're like, "Yeah, I got a Squirtle over here." So we'd go running over there to get a Squirtle. It was a really neat thing to experience because stuff like that doesn't happen all that often.
No, not all. I wonder, because there's the whole mobile app for chatting on Splatoon, and which will inevitably be for every game. I wonder if there's going to be some link up like that, so you actually use location services from your phone, and that will affect the game on your Switch. So if you connect your Switch to your phone, the location services from the phone know where you are, and then that affects what's going on the Switch game.
Yeah, because they couldn't do traditional Pokemon Go on the Switch because it doesn't have the 3G.
Yeah, exactly. And the location services as well, GPS.
Oh, man. A lot of people's cell phone bills are going to skyrocket.
For sure. But I mean, I'm looking forward to a fully consoled Pokemon, but I'm a little concerned. I mean, a fully realized console Pokemon will be great, but with the short time frame that they've had since last year to make it, I wonder if this is still just going to be kind of in the style of like Sun and Moon, which won't be. But I mean, I've not played Sun and Moon, admittedly, but from what I've seen of it, it's fantastic. But
really,
yeah, I've not got 3DS ever.
Oh man, you got to just bite the bullet and get one of those 2DS XLs. They're only $150.
Yeah, I want one. I'm thinking about getting there's a sweet ass Pokeball styled one.
Yeah, for $150, the depth and breadth of console library that you get is insane.
Yeah,
I mean, you get to go all the way back to 2004. You get 14 years worth of games.
Yeah, well, I've got a DSi. I've got a DSi XL.
Oh, okay.
So it's just obviously 3DS games I can't play. I might ask Hazel nicely for Christmas this year.
Ooh.
Hint, hint, Hazel, if you're listening.
Hazel, can you get me a DS?
So yeah, I've not actually played that. I didn't play X and Y either. But regarding you and Pokemon, Eric, what I think you should do is get either Heart Gold or Soul Silver for the DS.
Okay.
Because for me, that's the pinnacle of the series. They're just fantastic games. I think you should play one of those. They were the second generation, but the Soul Silver and Heart Gold are the remakes.
Of
of Gold and Silver.
Okay.
So Gold and Silver were the second ones that came out. There was Red and Blue and Yellow, obviously, and then the next generation was Gold and Silver. And they remade those for the DS, and they're fantastic. They're really, really great games. I recommend.
I'll have to give them a looky-loo.
Luckily, they're not cheap, though, to pick up.
Nah.
For some reason,
The other game on here that I'm actually interested to hear more about is F-Zero SX.
See, I've never played any F-Zero.
I just remember them being insanely difficult. Just a great racing game. But the last one on here, Star Fox Lilat System.
So have you heard about the rumours for this?
No.
The rumour is that there's a Star Fox racing game coming out.
Like Diddy Kong?
A bit like Diddy Kong. Apparently it's going to have like an adventure mode like Diddy Kong. And yeah, it's going to be like a racing game.
Interesting.
I think it's a good direction for it. I mean,
are there really enough characters to support that?
I don't know.
I mean, you've got Fox, Falco, Slippy, and I'm drawing a blank on the other one. Help me out.
Could they add the villains? Because I can't remember if it was Crash Team Racing or Crash Nitro Kart. It may have been both of them. It was both of them. Where on the adventure mode, you could either choose a good guy or a villain, and depending which one you chose, you got like a slightly different story mode. So they could do something like that. What's that other team called in Star Fox? I can't remember what they're called.
No, I don't remember.
That's going to really bug me. Yeah, so they could do something like that.
It's the Star Wolf, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
Sounds familiar. But yeah, supposedly it's going to be a racing game. Whether that happens or not, I don't know. And then there's also on this list Fortnite for Switch, which, let's face it, that's inevitable. It's inevitable. Inevitable!
I don't think I see anything else on there that's too...
Yeah, they started off with a load of things that are confirmed already. Apparently Dragon Ball FighterZ is going to go in there, a FIFA game, another NBA game, Crash Bandicoot, we already know.
I'm usually super excited about E3, but this year I'm not, because so much of it's being revealed beforehand.
Yeah, I feel like that as well. I mean, I listen to a lot of gaming news while I'm driving, but this year, everything. If all these leaks are true, there is so much to know already, and it does take it away. Yeah,
I don't like how Sony's like, here's the 4 games we're focusing on, because the 2 years that I was at E3 were just insane, because we didn't know what was coming up, and the year we actually got to go to the Sony conference, just sitting there and like just watching through these things come popping up that you had no idea about were incredible.
I mean, loads of Kingdom Hearts footage has come out these past couple of days as well.
Yeah,
and
which the consensus seems to be, it plays great, but it's just more Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, Tim Geddes from Kinda Funny, I follow him on Twitter, and he was excited to play it because he's a massive Kingdom Hearts fan, and his Twitter post as soon as he played it was, looks like a great PS4 game, plays like a clunky PS2 game, but I don't care, it's amazing, or something along those lines.
Well, but didn't they start developing it when PS2 was still out?
Yeah, probably. But I'm happy for more Kingdom Hearts. I've got it pre-ordered, I'm going to get it. It's going to be a great time, but
I think I'm just going to buy it and put it next to Kingdom Hearts 2 just to get it, Dan.
And send a photo every day to Dan.
Yeah. Dan, how is this game? I don't know if I should open it. Oh, God, that'll be funny.
Oh, man. You know what? If you ever actually do play Kingdom Hearts 2, right, you're going to fucking hate the first couple of hours.
Oh, yeah, because you play as what, Roxas?
Yeah, and it's slow. It's really, really
well, and I think that's
slow.
So thinking about it, I was working at GameStop when it came out, and I bought that and then the collector's guide the day they came out, and I think I either went on vacation or I was getting really busy, and I didn't have time to play it. And when I came back to work after whatever, the guys I was working with are like, yeah, the first few hours are just awful. I remember them talking about it has nothing to do with the first Kingdom Hearts, and you play as this shitty character, and something triggered in me like, I don't want to play that right now, and I just never got around to it.
Yeah, I never, first time I played Kingdom Hearts 2, I didn't finish it, and I left it a couple of years and went back to it, and I had to do those first few hours again, and yeah, ooh, harsh.
Yeah.
It's just like it's just busy work. Like you start off with this group of friends, and you have to make some money to get. I think it's a train ticket because they're on their like summer vacation, their summer flobbywibble. And they have to. You have to make some money, so you have to just go around town and do like these random odd jobs. And that's the start of an epic game like Kingdom Hearts. You have to do shit like that. And then you have to start doing these mystery things as well, where, you know, there's like these random mysteries around town. Like, I think there's like a haunted garbage bin or something like that, and it turns out to be a dog. And
oh, that sounds awful.
Yeah, it really, really is. Like, all these years that you've waited, and if you play it, I think you're gonna really struggle with those first few hours.
I mean, I kind of want to pick up. I think I actually have Kingdom Hearts 1.5 HD remix on PS3. Technically, all of them are available on PS4, right? They did the remakes, or those 1.5 and 2.5 on PS4, right?
Yes, yeah, they did.
I might just buy those.
Yeah. I mean, inevitably, let's face it, we will probably try and do Kingdom Hearts eventually on the show, so I'll probably buy them for that.
Oh, actually, they have Kingdom Hearts 1.5 and 2.5 in one package on PS4 for $28.
That is a fucking bargain.
Oh, yeah, because you get all of the games.
Yeah. Like, because there's some of the DS games, like, up-resed on there.
But don't they... Some of them actually just kind of get stripped down into little vignettes, don't they?
Yeah, for the story. If you can
like
fucking make
Birth
sense
by
of it.
Sleep and 256 divided by 2 and Recoded and shit like that.
Yeah, and Pear into Mango.
Yeah. I remember really enjoying the Game Boy Advance one, Coded Memories or something like that.
Yeah, I've not played any of those ones. I've literally played 1 and 2.
Huh. Chain of Memories. I'm sorry, that's what it is.
Yeah, I think it came out again as like Recoded Chain of Memories or something like that, didn't it?
Yeah, for
PS. I think that's where you're getting mixed up.
PS2. I don't know. Yes. I'm not thrilled about this game. I might not even buy it, to be honest. I don't know. It isn't one of those that tickles me in a good way. You know what comes out this week?
Go on.
Detroit.
Yeah, I'm tempted. I am tempted.
I'm not going to buy it because I'm going to be out of town. So
I've barely had any gaming time this past couple of weeks. Like I've gone like 4 days straight without even picking up anything.
Oh, how can you do that?
So like, yeah, I know. So like, I've barely touched God of War. I can't justify buying Detroit when like I've got that to play.
Oh, Mike! Mike!
Go on.
May 25th, 5 days from now.
Go on.
Dark Souls Remastered. Fuck Detroit, getting that.
Oh, have you heard that? I mean, this means nothing to me because I've not played it, but apparently is it Blighttown? Normally, like, the frame rate just drops really badly.
Yeah, it takes a fucking dump.
Apparently, they fixed it.
Oh! Blighttown still sucks a huge one, just in general.
So what's Blighttown?
The worst level of any game ever conceived, bar none. Everything is poison. There's enemies everywhere. You can fall off ledges. Couple that with a shit frame rate and 0 health to be found anywhere. Impossible.
And the floor is lava!
Oh, it's so bad.
But yeah, supposedly they fixed the frame rate on it. Because I've been reading about it because I've not picked up a Souls game. If the port actually ends up being any good on Switch, I'll probably get it for Switch. But
the Switch one got delayed, right?
Yeah, got delayed.
So,
which makes... I'm in two minds. I'm a little bit concerned about it, but at the same time, I'd rather them take more time if it's not quite...
I mean, that's an ambitious game to throw onto the Switch. So here's what I would recommend.
Okay.
To prep yourself. And because it's...
Prep yourself before you wreck yourself.
Prepare yourself for the wreckage. Play Demon's Souls first.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is just superior in every way. You know what?
I think I have that. I think they gave it away on PS Plus. I think I have it.
I need to double check this, but Demon's Souls is coming up on our 10-year cutoff for games for the show. I need to check. February 5th, 2009.
So next year.
Next year we can do it. I mean, I know I've talked a ton about Demon Souls, easily in my top 5 games of all time, easily. But it truly set the stage for all of the Souls games to come. And Dark Souls 1 took the core of what made Demon Souls fantastic and made it even better. But I feel like they stripped out some of the more engaging bits and what really kept me coming back. And then Dark Souls 2 was like, hey, Dark Souls 1 was great. Here is like 5 times that amount of content. Oh, that's not good. And then Dark Souls 3 just capped it off.
So, at the risk of sounding naive and a bit noob-ish, so obviously Demon Souls was first. Is Dark Souls essentially just a pseudo-sequel, or are they actually connected? Or
no, in no way, shape, or form. It is a spiritual successor, and then
that's the word I was looking for.
Yeah, Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3 it was revealed at the end of 3 that the worlds are connected. Because in 3 you get to revisit some of the worlds from 1, and it's a really cool experience. But if you played you have played the newest God of War, the combat in that is very similar to Dark Souls.
Oh, okay.
So it's a lot of strategy. It's not just hammering and mashing buttons. It's a lot of blocking, reading the enemy's tells when they're about to attack, and then rolling out of the way and attacking them there. But the best part of the original Demon Souls was, it was the first game to ever do anything like this, where it was just insanely hard, but it was gratifyingly fair. And when you beat a boss, generally in a video game, you're like, yeah, this is a boss battle, I can beat him, it's great. But these bosses are so difficult that when you finally get a chance to beat them, you just have this sense of accomplishment that not many other video games have ever given me. Mm-hmm. So if like the Tower Knight, for example, was just, that'll forever stick out to me as one of the coolest boss battles, bar none. Simply because up until this point, every enemy was kind of your size and you could tackle it. But you walk in through the gate and this 50-foot tall knight starts stomping towards you, and you're like, how the fuck am I going to take that thing down? And just knowing that if you die, you have to go through this whole section of the game that in and of itself is insanely difficult just to get to the boss. And you have to find a way to get there while preserving all of your health. It's super challenging, but it's oddly fair.
Oh, I do have it. I've just looked. PSN store, yeah, I do have it.
I recommended it to Tom, and he started playing through. He's like, Jesus, this is difficult. But he just kept going back to it because it's one of those games like, I'm not going to let this stupid thing beat me.
It's fairly linear, isn't it, as well?
Kind of.
Because at the moment, I'm really, really burnt out on open world. I know God of War has like a little bit of an open world element, but that's fine. But I don't want to touch an open world game for a while. Like, I know we're going to do Final Fantasy 9, that's fine.
Yeah.
But I'm proper. But like I started Skyrim a couple of months ago, and I keep picking it up on my Switch. And I just, you know what, I don't want to play an open world game at the moment. Like one of my friends has just played through Horizon, and she says she's going to lend me the disc, so that I can play the Frozen Wilds. I'm going to download it. But I really just don't want to play an open world game again at the moment.
No, I agree. I need something a bit more focused. Demon Souls it's not open world. So everything revolves around this place called the Nexus. And there are 5 stone arches that you can go into in different worlds. And once you go into each of those worlds, there's 3 linear sections within, but you can't just pound through all 3 sections. So if you get through the first section of part 1, that'll allow you to access another section within world 2, and then it's just kind of figuring out which order you can go through these. So it's not open world. You have your 5 branching paths, and then you can come back to the Nexus, do what you need to do. But the coolest aspect of it, though, is that you have, and this is what the later Souls games really missed out on, is that Demon Souls has 2 things called world tendency and soul tendency that drastically affect the game. So your soul tendency can either go from pitch black to pure white, and that is affected by if you die in body form. So you have soul form and you have body form. Body form
for you.
body form gives you more health, but if you die, it plummets your soul tendency and your world tendency. You can regain soul tendency, but you can never regain world tendency. So if you die in body form and the soul tendency starts to dip, or the world tendency starts to dip, that's it. And there are certain events that only happen with different tendencies, so it encourages you to play through the game multiple times, which is why I went to like New Game +8, because beating a boss in body form increases the world tendency, so everything starts at neutral. So to get it to pure white, you need to beat all the bosses in body form. But if you die, it dips, and you can never get it back up.
Right.
So it really challenges you to have an intimate understanding of the bosses and how to beat them, and kind of take that risk and get this specific sequence in the game that you'd otherwise miss, and then unlock an NPC that goes into the Nexus that unlocks other parts of the game. Just insanely cool.
I'm going to have to give it a shot.
Just be ready to die a lot. It's infinitely more difficult than any of the other Souls games, I think.
Well, what I'm thinking of doing is, if this port of Dark Souls works on the Switch, because I'd love to take it portable. I mean, I've said since I bought my Switch, if the port is as good as the other ports, or the downsides are negligible, then I'm going to get it on Switch, because that portability option is just... it's great to have it. I mean, I've said several times on the show, being able to play Breath of the Wild portable enabled me to put so many hours into it.
Oh, yeah. I put 70 hours into that game in 2 weeks.
Yeah, so what I'm probably going to do is, maybe, because since I've got Demon's Souls, is give that a go. Not necessarily play it all the way through, because I've got so much players, but give that a go, and if I'm enjoying it, is then splash out the cash on Dark Souls Remastered.
I think I mentioned this, but a few years ago when they were announcing that they were going to take the Demon's Souls servers offline, I did an entire YouTube playthrough of it, just kind of for back when we were Mana Tank, and because a lot of people wanted to see through that game. So I still had a really intimate understanding of everything, and just went through the game with everything that I knew about it. And some people who I've recommended it to since have used that kind of as a play-along guide if they don't want to struggle through the entire game, because it is a little bit nebulous with where you should go. How do you beat this? This part's too difficult, so I give out some tips on how to best these bosses easily. Because there's for example, there's one boss who's blind, and he can't physically see you, so he uses his hearing to track you. And the game puts, what's the word I'm looking for? An attribute to your feet that makes noise. So if you have metal boots on and you're walking through this concrete hall, he'll hear you, and that's how he tracks you. So the best way to beat him is take off your boots, and he can't hear you.
Yeah.
Super cool shit like that. It's such a neat game. As long as you don't get stuck on the Dragon God. I've played through that game a dozen times, and there's only been 2 or 3 times I've beaten that boss on the first go. Every other time, it's like 40 attempts.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
That's
so
rough. That's rough.
I say give it a go, man. It's one of my favorite games of all time.
Yeah, you're always so passionate whenever you talk about it.
Well, I mean, it holds such an interesting spot in my life, too, because I think Christy and I had just gotten married. We were still in college, broke as all shit. And my uncle called me up, and he's like, have you heard of this game? I'm like, no, I haven't. I haven't really had a chance to buy any games recently. He's like, just buy it. Trust me, whatever money you have, just buy it. So I called up a buddy who owned a gaming store, just like a offshoot private gaming store. I'm like, do you happen to have this game? Because none of the stores had it. He's like, yeah, I've got one copy. It hasn't sold. I'm like, would you take $40 for it? And he's like, yeah, come on down and get it. And every single day for the next 6 months, my uncle and I talked on our way home from work about that game. Like, what did you do at this part? How did this happen for you? Do you have any strategies for this? What happened when you had this world tendency or that? It was a really neat experience that I've not encountered in any game ever since. So, play it.
Play it!
I'm super shocked they haven't done a remake of that yet.
They probably will.
I hope so.
Although, if that's earlier than Dark Souls, maybe they're just going to ignore it.
I hope they don't. So yeah.
I mean, where do you, as someone like me who's not played any of them, where would I stand if I played Bloodborne? Because I got Bloodborne for free from
You broke up
PS
there, what?
Plus. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously I got Bloodborne for free on PS Plus the other month. So as someone like me who's not touched the Souls series at all, would that be a bad one to go to, or?
I don't ever think it's a bad one to go to. Did you play
I know
Bloodborne?
it's not a phenomenal game, but
Did you play Bloodborne?
no, not touched it.
Bloodborne is on par with the difficulty level of Demon Souls. But I don't know. I always recommend, if you want to get into the Souls series and you want to see where it started, start with Demon Souls, because it's going to be the most difficult, deepest experience out there. And if you can wrap your head around that, the rest of the Souls games will be very easy. I think if you start anywhere else and try to go back to Demon Souls, it may feel like a step backwards instead of progressing forwards.
That makes sense.
Not to say that it hasn't aged well, but it's just a different style of game.
Well, I mean, games can age well but still look inferior to their counterparts. I mean, look at Uncharted. You go back and play Uncharted 1 now. It's still a fantastic game, but boy, is it rough compared to the others.
Yeah. But at its time when it came out, holy God. Yeah, I can't go back and play that right now. I have the Nathan Drake collection, but I haven't plugged it in because I'm afraid of ruining my memories of the first game. It's like, ooh, is it really that rough?
It is rough. You can tell.
So
Like, straight away.
I completely forgot Dark Souls is coming out this week. That just made my week way better.
Whoop, 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 whoop.
I actually won't get a chance to play it until June 3rd, and then I leave for Las Vegas on the 5th.
It's too bad that Switch port has been delayed, because if you
Till
got that,
September.
if you got that, it would have.
I would have bought it on
problem
Switch easily.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's really exciting for anybody who's missed out on Dark Souls. Definitely, I think that's going to be a great pick.
Yeah, you've sold me.
I think I'm actually going to pick that up over Detroit, as much as that's going to hurt Tom. But then again, Tom's not going to have it for a while. I'd rather play that like alongside Tom.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah.
But I do want to get Detroit, but I can't justify it. Not with like so much God of War left for me to play. I mean, I know Hazel's quite interested in playing Detroit. When like she watches me game, and she actually gave the demo a go by herself, and she seemed to enjoy it.
That'll definitely be one that Christy and I play through together. Yeah,
so I'm thinking of getting it for her. But we bought. It was on special offer because we played through the first Outlast together. Because I've said loads of times before, we like playing scary games together, and we got the second Outlast recently, and we haven't played through that properly yet. So
can't do that one.
No, why not?
I don't know. I just my approach with horror games recently has changed since playing Resident Evil 7 in VR. They typically don't bother me, but Resident Evil 7 in VR is something else. The game itself is just terrifying. I don't think I'll ever actually finish just that game.
Really? What, even outside of VR?
Yeah, it's terrifying.
I still need to pick that up.
Yeah, it's definitely a good pick. It's a nice throwback to the originals.
It sounds dumb because obviously the reviews it's been getting, and I really enjoyed the demo as well. You know, they did the whole thing where they kept updating the demo and adding more areas to it,
which is real cool.
Yeah, and making the puzzle bigger and everything like that. Every time they updated it, I played it again, and I really enjoyed that. But so after being burned by Resident Evil 6, because 6 is god awful. I don't know if you bothered with it.
Is that the one where they had the picture of the giraffe?
Yeah.
Getting serviced.
But I pre-ordered that and bought it. Obviously, got it day one, and yeah, I was probably burnt. And I just think part of me, like, even though I really want to play 7, and I've played the demo, like, there's just part of me that's hard to go right. I'm going to go.
See, and
it now.
I stopped buying Resident Evils after number 4. It's like I can't do these anymore.
See, I loved 4, but 5 wasn't that great.
Yeah, 5 I heard was great if you played
was
co-op. Yeah, it's just a hot turd.
Yeah, it's just awful.
But hey, before we get into our game of the week, there's one other thing that's super important, global news I think we need to talk about.
Go on.
The royal wedding.
Oh, for fuck's sake. You know what, right? I was sick of hearing about it going in. I was thinking, oh yeah, that's going to be over. That's great. We'll stop fucking hearing about it. You know what? I've heard more about it today after it's been done than I have done this past week.
It's insane. I don't get it.
Shame on you, Peterson, for bringing it up.
I genuinely don't get the hype behind it. It's a wedding for people who do nothing.
Don't get me started.
So Friday morning, I sent you guys a picture of this. One of the CBS This Morning news anchors was over there for it, and apparently the theme of this wedding was stupid fucking hats. If you look at the pictures of people sitting there, how many hats? It's like they were at the Kentucky Derby. Just hats everywhere, obnoxious. I'd be pissed off if I got invited and sat behind somebody and they had this huge sombrero on. But anyway, back to the point. This lady was over there. She's wearing a stupid hat, and this was the pinnacle of news. But that morning, there was a major school shooting that just kind of took a backseat to the royal wedding.
Yeah, it's fucking stupid,
isn't it? 10 high school kids were murdered. Talk about that over these people getting married.
So there's a radio show I tend to listen to at work at a certain point in the day, and sometimes they have silly stories and things like that, admittedly, but it's usually like political issues and community issues and things like that that just listen to. And this week, several times they had basically within this show, because it's a 2-hour show, they do 4 stories, half hour on each, and one of them near enough every single day was to do with the royal wedding. Like, they were fucking around about the fact that like Meghan Markle's dad might not be coming over for like 3 days straight.
Ugh, who cares?
Oh, Dad isn't going to be at the wedding. I don't give a fuck. Yeah. It's not my wedding. Yeah, yeah, it's been obnoxious over here. Absolutely obnoxious. And like on social media as well, you just get people going, "Oh, well, why is everyone complaining about it? It's nice. It's a royal family." Oh, fuck off.
I don't know. I don't get it.
Yeah, just ugh. If I can get on my soapbox for a second, they supposedly, I don't know how true this is, but supposedly, like, the few days running up to it, they were, like, making sure all the homeless were, like, off the streets around it and things like that.
Ugh.
And, you know, the royal family over here does finance itself quite a bit, but there is tax money that goes in there as well, and there's always the argument of whether they bring more back in tourism and stuff like that. But, you know, when you've got... Like I say, I'm being on my soapbox here, but when you've got like publicly funded royal family like that in some respects, and then they're booting the homeless off the street so that it doesn't look bad when really that money could be going to helping them and housing them and all that, it leaves a bitter taste in my mouth.
Yeah. But, I mean, I guess if we're looking at it objectively, the royal family is a tourist attraction of sorts.
Yeah, I suppose, but I as you can probably tell, I'm just not bothered.
Yeah. Because I think most people aren't.
Yeah, but you'd be surprised. Over here, you would be surprised at how many people suddenly love the royal family during these big events like this. Like, they won't mention them any other time, and then these big events happen, and suddenly the royal family is like the greatest thing since the other side of the pillow.
Ooh, I mean, I like the other side of the pillow.
Yeah, that's some cool shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll get off my soapbox.
But, reverse segue, speaking of Capcom.
I'm trying to say segue in reverse.
Yeah. Yugis!
Anyway, go on.
Our game of the week is from Capcom.
Game of the week. Was it Onomatopoeia?
Yeah.
Oni mashed potatoes.
Onimusha peas.
I can't think of any more.
Yeah. We need Dan here for that.
Yeah.
His brain's on a different level.
Yeah, he's too tired though.
Yeah. He's
probably already a pumpkin.
Just eating himself because he's so hungry. Yes, so our game this week, one we've been talking about playing for quite a while, is the PS2. I'm going to call it a launch title because it still fell within the launch window.
Mm-hmm.
March 13th, 2001. Onimusha Warlords.
Long time ago.
Well, wait a minute. I thought it was in January.
What have I got? Hang on.
I could have swore it was, because that was the first game I got for my PS2, and I got my PS2 in January.
Let's have a look. Japan was January 25th, 2001. North America, March 13th. And we had to wait until July 6th.
Woof. Woof.
I always remember seeing this game when I got my PS2. I always remember seeing it and always wanting it. And I just never ever got around to playing it when I was a wee lad.
Wee lad. I remember my grandma taking me out to get a PS2 game, and she wouldn't get me Smuggler's Run because it was about running drugs. But instead, she's going to get me this game about murdering people. Loads of blood.
Demons. And...
yeah. Like, Grandma, you could have just put me in a dune buggy and pretended that it was sacks of flowers.
It sold over 2 million copies.
It was a critical success.
Yeah, 1.04 million copies of that was Japan alone. Yeah. Went platinum in just under a month in Japan. And it was the top-selling PlayStation 2 game ever at the time of its release.
To be honest, it was a great game when it came out. It really showed the power of the PS2, and to be quite honest, it's aged really well.
Oh god, yeah. The proper CGI cinematics, they hold up. They really hold up. Like I'm playing it on an actual PS2, playing it with component cables.
Yep, so was I.
Yeah, looks fantastic. Really does.
I
couldn't believe how good it looked.
And it was smooth too. A lot of the games at this time were really clunky with their controls because they're still figuring out these true 3D environments. And
well, this is the interesting thing, because I always remember seeing this game. I always remember the name of it and never played it, but I didn't realize that it's essentially the Resident Evil engine, isn't it?
Yeah,
in a way. And I didn't know it was that. Now, I was a massive fan of Resident Evil back in the PS1 era. Resident Evil 2 is like my jam. And if I'd known back then that this was what this game was, I would have jumped on it. Absolutely jumped on it. I didn't know what to expect when we came into this. Then when you said it was tank controls, which I thought was strange, but then once I started playing it, admittedly, I only played it yesterday. Shocked. Absolutely shocked.
The tank controls worked really well. They weren't that clunky PS1 style Resident Evil tank controls. They were very fluid, which I guess they had to because. Well, actually, no. The DualShock was. I don't understand why they didn't give you joystick control.
Yeah, because you actually click the R3 button for the map.
Oh, is that what you do? I just press start and go to map.
Yeah, so you can click is the only use of the analog sticks at all in that game is clicking the R3 button for the map.
Ugh, which is annoying because my controller, for a majority of the game, the left on the D-pad was marginally functioning at best.
Did you have to just constantly turn around in circles?
Yeah, it was rough. It was real rough. And then the next controller, I gotta have another controller. I've got so many PS2 controllers all over the place, and it didn't get to a bothersome point until towards the end. Like, fine, I'm going to grab a different one. So I plug a different one in, and then the up button on the D-pad doesn't work. Like, well, this isn't going to work. I need to be able to go forward. And then I finally found one that worked.
Well, at least it was the quick turn to help you out as well.
Yeah. But to your point, this game does play like a very basic Resident Evil.
Yeah, I mean, when I started it up and I realised it'd be Resident Evil but with sword fighting mechanics, I was a little concerned, but that's because I'm so used to how shitty like the knife mechanics are in Resident Evil.
Oh, were you?
So I was little concerned.
R1 to bring up the knife, up on the D-pad to aim towards the head, and then square to slash,
and then pokey pokey.
Yeah, and then you gotta aim down and stabby stab.
Well, the interesting thing is, this was supposed to be a Resident Evil game.
Was
supposedly
it?
The original plot line of it, basically the virus had spread to Japan, and you would have to fight zombies and monsters with a sword. Set in the... I might be... Right. let's just say this now. I am going to fuck up every single Japanese pronunciation during this show. So instead of me apologizing every single time, just imagine I apologize every time. But the Sengoku period, which is what this game is based in, isn't it?
Yeah.
So basically, it was going to be like a ninja house filled with booby traps, similar to the mansion from Resident Evil. And there's a quote, but I don't know who the quote was from, but it says, "The house will contain hidden doors behind walls, ceilings that fall down onto you, scrolls and ninja magic, and many other ninja techniques." And apparently it was intended for the Nintendo 64's 64 Double D.
Like the breast expansion.
Yeah, the breast expansion.
Yeah. Interesting.
But yeah, so it was supposed to be a Resident Evil game.
It still kind of has that element to it. You can tell they were designing that in mind, because that castle is very similar to the mansion, where you need certain keys to get through certain doors, and you can go partway through this wing, and then you get an item that goes and unlocks a different wing, and it's a lot of backtracking and just remembering where things go.
Mm-hmm. Supposedly Capcom had a prototype running on the PS1, but during production they basically the PS2 was coming out, and they got excited about being able to put it onto PS2 and what else they'd be able to do with it. So they had it about 50% made for PS1 and essentially scrapped that and put it on the PS2.
Interesting.
So I wonder if it would have been more like... It probably would have looked more like Resident Evil 3, I bet, if it had stayed on PS1.
Yeah. And now that I think about it, Code Veronica is very similar in appearance and controls to this game.
Yeah, but Code Veronica doesn't have completely fixed cameras, does it? There are some areas where
it follows you. Yeah.
Yeah. Are they pre-rendered backgrounds in Code Veronica? I can't remember. It's so long since I played that.
I don't think so.
Because I know because obviously Dino Crisis on the PS1, it stopped being pre-rendered in some of the places.
Yeah, they're definitely not pre-rendered. I'm looking at some screenshots now.
Yeah.
God, that game is good. We need to do Code Veronica for this show at some point, because that's the last true good Resident Evil before 7.
That's where you're up to, because you guys did 3, didn't you, last Resident Evil wise?
Yeah.
We
never did the first one.
Unless we do the remake at some point.
The remake. Oh, yeah.
Of the first Resident Evil. Yeah. That would be great.
Yeah.
Whilst we're on that subject, slightly off topic, where the fuck is the Resident Evil 2 remake?
I know.
They announced it and then nothing. Absolutely nothing.
That's the one that needs it the most.
Yeah, I mean, if they... A little part of me is hoping we get something at E3, but... Yeah. I'm concerned that if we don't hear about it by the end of this year, it's not going to happen.
They've just forgotten about it.
Yeah.
Maybe if we don't say anything, they won't notice. So the plot of Onimusha is interesting.
It's okay.
It's basic.
The hardest part with this, and it's gonna make me sound really bad, but obviously it's all very Japanese names and Japanese sounding names, and sometimes it's difficult to keep up with who is who because the names to us are
so unfamiliar.
Yeah, that's the way of putting it.
The game does a fantastic job of reminding you how to pronounce the main character's name, because they say it all the time. Samanosuke! Samanosuke. Could you imagine if every time you addressed your friends, you said their name first?
Eric?
Mike, yes.
Eric.
Mike, what?
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's not good. But the interesting thing about the plot on this is the characters, some of them are actually historical figures.
Yes.
So, I mean, I had a quick look through this, and a lot of them don't mean much to me because I'm not familiar with the history, but obviously it's all based in feudal Japan during that era that I mentioned before, the Sengoku period, which is kind of ranged from 1467 through to 1603, so big part of Japanese history, like marked by like social upheaval and political intrigue and things like that, and near constant military conflict. But some of the names like that are used in it, and some of the locations as well. I mean, I won't go into too much detail here because I'm not going to pretend to understand that history. But if you are interested in it, it's worth having a little look. I mean, there is one guy who's constantly trying to get you to join their clan. Is it Tokachiro? I think his name is. Again,
is he the little
fucking up
Weasley
the
guy?
names. Yeah. So there is like a little How I Met Your Mother moment when you meet him, where randomly like they're talking, and then suddenly this other voice goes, "This man will later rule Japan under the name Tokyutimo Hideyoshi." Which was really fucking jarring. Do you remember that bit?
Yeah.
Like, really jarring. Just randomly, it just gives a little historical facts. But yeah, supposedly he ends up actually running Japan later on in history, and I'm proper butchering this history. But yeah, it's worth looking into. It's worth a little 10 minutes of your time and reading.
I mean, they did do a lot of research about this, and they based, like you mentioned.
Apparently, it's wasted on me.
They base things partially in reality.
Yeah.
Minus the whole demons and, all of that. But the basic plot of the game is that one of the rulers, Nobunaga Oda, was fatally wounded and assumed dead.
Yes.
And our main character, Samanosuke, gets... he's the cousin of Princess Yuki.
Yes.
He gets a letter from her that...
It's a year later, isn't it? After
Nobunaga dies. That she's telling Samanosuke that servants are starting to disappear in the castle, and she's afraid that demons are behind it. So Samanosuke pairs up with Kaede?
Yeah, I think that's how it's pronounced.
To go to Inuyama Castle. Once they get there, Yuki is abducted by some demons who are known as the Henma. And Samanosuke ends up getting killed by this giant ogre-type creature.
Does he die?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought he was just kind of knocked out.
Well, he gets a sword stabbed through him.
Oh, yeah, so he does.
And he gets stuck into the wall. So he's visited by these 12 One, who provide him with this special gauntlet on his arm that allow him to capture the souls of the defeated Henma. So
interesting thing, the Oni in the English translation got translated to ogre.
Yeah.
For some random reason, and then basically as the games go on, because obviously there's sequels to this, they just run with Oni after that. But for some reason it was translated incorrectly in this one. Well, I don't know if it was incorrectly or on purpose, but yeah,
probably incorrectly.
Yeah.
So the point of the game is these Henma are looking to increase the power of Nobunaga, who is trying to make a resurgence as a demon. And in order to do that, they need to capture Princess Yuki and is it her brother Yumamaru?
Yeah, not real brother. Basically, you find out later on that he was the son of a farmer and his family were killed, and she took him in and basically kind of raised him as a brother.
So they're trying to heighten Princess Yuki's sorrow to make her blood more potent for Nobunaga and give him unyielding power. So Samanosuke's whole point of this game is to rescue Yuki and prevent the rise of Nobunaga.
Yes, and there's a Genma scientist called, is it Guildenstern? I don't know
which is this is interesting too, because as you mentioned before, a lot of the characters are based on historical figures. There's a set of characters in here that are based off of characters in Shakespeare's Hamlet. Yeah,
and they're all enemies as well.
Yep, so Fortinbras, who was the Prince of Norway, like you just said, Guildenstern, Prince Hamlet's friend and courtier, Osric, he's a courtier in King Hamlet's service, Ronaldo was Polonius' servant, and then Marcellus, who's one of the main bosses, was a sentry who witnessed King Hamlet's ghost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Osric is the first boss you face.
Yes.
The guy who stabs you at the beginning, yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, the scientist, basically, he's the one you find out that they've resurrected Nobunaga to serve them, and basically they are the demons and they want to take over, and they're using him as using Nobunaga as a tool for them to take over.
So Guildenstern is an interesting character.
Yeah, he looks like a bit like a xenomorph from the Alien series. Had sex with the Martians from the Mars Attacks film.
and then kind of just melded into a Gluckin from the Oddworld series.
Yes, yeah, it really does.
But he talks like Dr. Nefarious from Ratchet and Clank. It's the most jarring voice.
When you first encounter him, he's looking inside a dead body. He's like, oh, yes, blood. Oh, a liver! Ooh!
It's such a weird character.
Yeah, so strange.
And his
so strange.
What is his role in all of this?
So essentially, he, I think he did help resurrect Nobunaga, didn't he? Because he mentions it. So his role is basically creating Nobunaga. I think he creates the other enemies as well. Because the first time you meet him, he sicks the Ronaldos on you. Yeah, sicks the Ronaldos on you.
Mm-hmm.
And then later on as well, is it not Marcellus?
Yeah, it's Marcellus. Yeah, and Marcellus S.
Yes, he sicks Marcellus onto you as well. So basically, he's like a scientist for essentially the demons.
Yeah, he's responsible for the creation of all the Henma soldiers.
Yes, exactly. So he's not the big bad, but he does a lot of work for them. But you never fight him, and he just escapes later on. The plot point with him never really gets finished. The story arc with him.
No, and after you beat the game, he just kind of disappears.
But I was reading that apparently this was always going to be designed to be a trilogy.
Yeah.
So that could be a possible reason for it. But yeah, his story thread just gets lost. I mean, it's the same with the little creepy guy whose name I've forgotten already.
You know about the little guy that hangs upside down?
No. The what's his name? Tokichiro.
Oh, yeah.
Who's always trying to get you to join them. The one I said who becomes a Japanese emperor later on. His just gets forgotten as well. Like
Toyotomi. That's his name.
Is it?
Yeah, Hideyoshi Toyotomi.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, but he goes as Tokichiro in this, doesn't he?
No.
He does, yeah, because that's when he goes...
Oh, that's one of his alias. Yeah, it's his alias.
Yeah. Like I said, that has that moment where it goes, he will later rule Japan.
Got it.
Under the name. His does as well, because he turns up every now and again and basically tries to get Samanusuke to join them because they see him as such a fearsome warrior. But the interesting thing is as well, I mean, we mentioned that the Oni give him a gauntlet. Give Samanusuke a gauntlet, which enables Samanusuke to essentially devour the souls of the enemies that he kills.
And this is really interesting because I think this set the stage for games down the road like God of War, where you absorb souls to power yourself up. This is the first game I can think of that has that mechanic.
I can't think of any others off the top of my head. Yeah, you're right. But basically, when you kill enemies, several different like orbs kind of float out of them. So there's the red ones. They essentially level up your weapons. The yellow ones, which give you health, and these white ones, which I've read somewhere.
It's
I think
blue.
They're supposed to be blue. Yeah, they're supposed to be blue, but they look white.
They show up as blue on mine. They're like it's like a really bright blue.
Maybe my TV settings need a look at. But they look kind of white on mine. But anyway, they restore your magic meter. So, talking about leveling up your magic, so you start off with just a basic sword, and then when the Oni come, the first sword you get, I haven't got the names listed here. I should probably bring that up. Basically, the sword...
The raisin. Raisin?
The chocolate chew.
It's a reason.
Onimusha swords.
Old people candy.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, it's the raisin.
I quite like a reason.
Yeah, they're pretty good. So you get the Shiden Orb, which is part of the Raisin Sword.
Yes.
I'm going to go with Raisin, so I don't think it's Raisin.
Okay.
Right.
It's not the California raisins.
Yeah.
So that gives you your first magic attack, which is a thunder attack. And you start encountering these doors that have these weird kind of... They're almost like biological orbs, aren't they?
They kind of look like the big eyeball on the chest of Nemesis from Resident Evil 3.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
No, not on Nemesis. On Dr. Is it?
Birkin?
Dr. Birkin, there we go. When he transforms into his final self and gets like that big tentacle arm, and he's got the big blinking eye on his chest. That's not
Birkin.
Nemesis, it's Birkin.
Yeah. So you end up encountering these doors, and they'll have a certain number of a coloured orb on. So the Thunder one is like this kind of purpley colour, and your magic can go up to 3 levels, and depending on how many orbs are there, you need to go up. So as you progress through the game, you have to level up, because you have to get through these doors.
Well, this is what's interesting about it, though, too, is that you level up your sword and your orb independently. And it kind of becomes this really delicate balancing act of, do I want to level up my sword to make these enemies easier, but in doing so, I sacrifice leveling up these orbs. And there was a couple spots in the game where I got to a door where I needed level 3 orb, and my orb was only at level 2 because I had leveled something else up. So then I had to go through this whole series of just grinding for enemies.
Yeah, I mean, you said to me, because obviously I got through this yesterday and today, and you said to me, level up your orbs first. And I can see why. Like, I never got to a door. I mean, admittedly, I was loosely using a guide, just so I could avoid backtracking because of how short time I had. But I never at any point couldn't get through a door because I was leveling up the orbs before anything else.
I got to one pretty near the end of the game where you come across a path where you can... It's the first path where you have the triple red and the triple blue. And I opted to level up my triple blue first, and I hadn't put anything into red yet. So I had to go through this whole series of just trying to level up, and it probably took 25-30 minutes of just finding enemies, because there aren't very many spots in the game where enemies will just infinitely respawn. So I was hitting this area where I'd go through this walkway, and there were just archers up on the building, and you can't block their arrows. They hit you every single time, and they take out a massive chunk of damage. So I'd have to go back to the courtyard, fight a couple enemies, come back through, get hit by those arrows, and then try to get somebody else to spawn, come back through. It's the only way I could get enemies to respawn. It just got a little frustrating.
So I never dealt with that at all, luckily. And as I said, it's thanks to you saying that. But so the 3 elements, that's what I was getting to. Sorry, the 3 elements, you obviously got your thunder, you end up with fire, and you end up with wind, isn't it, the last one?
Yeah, so I was just reading here about the names of the weapons. So the raisin literally translates to thunderbolt killing blow, and it's powered by the Shiden orb, which translates into purple flash.
Oh, interesting.
That one's designed like a katana. The second one you talked about was the Enryu, the red one, which translates to fire dragon, powered by the Koan orb, which translates to red flame. And that's designed after a European broadsword. This weapon's the most unwieldy one, though. It's the slowest, but it's the most powerful.
Yeah, I used it so much.
It's really hard to initiate combos, and the enemy, you have a bigger gap in your attack pattern, so enemies can hit you if you don't plan things right. The last one is the Shipu, which translates to Furious Wind, and it is controlled by the Arashi Orb, which translates to White Wind. And that one is a twin-sided Volg, similar to a pole arm.
Yeah, I use that one probably the second most.
See, I use the
fire and the wind quite a lot.
I use the lightning one almost exclusively whenever I could.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
What was really cool about this is... Go ahead.
Sorry, the magic on the Shipu one was really useful, though. Especially when you got up to level 3. So when you use the magic on... So the magic on all of them, the Thunder one, you essentially do this like lightning combo. The Fire one, you basically... you throw a huge like wall of fire across the screen towards the enemies. And then the Wind one, you rotate round... Well, it rotates the magic around and it just hits the enemies. And once you get that up to level 3, the actual area where it attacks and the amount of times it actually hits the enemy is so useful, especially when you're surrounded by multiple quick moving enemies. It was what I use most. Yeah, there's
a spot later in the game where you have to get that decorated sword, and you come across 3 of those giant hammer wielding ogres, and the big ogre, and you got to get rid of the 3 first. Walk in there and you just pound that triple wind. Easiest way to get rid of them.
Yeah.
The lightning one, though, is a little difficult because it can be blocked. You have to actually get a physical hit on the enemy for it to engage the combo.
Mm-hmm. The combo itself reminded me a little bit of, like kind of slight combo you can do with Raiden in Metal Gear Solid 2.
Yes.
When you get the sword at the end, he does like a kind of like twirl up, and
Yep.
it reminded me of that.
I really, really like that. To me, that was the most gratifying one, especially on the bosses. Because once you get that up to level 3, it's just so devastating.
I mean, the combat on this itself, you could argue it's a bit button bashy. So as we said before, it's essentially like a Resident Evil clone, quote unquote. And you essentially just use the square button to do your normal attack, which will multiple presses will do a combo, and the magic is on triangle, isn't it? Yeah, and that's essentially all you have. There is a kick that stuns them as well. So if you press down and square at the same time, you do like a little front kick.
See, I was wondering how that always happened.
Oh, well, I did my usual thing and looked in the instruction manual.
Oh no, I didn't.
Yeah, so so if you press down, it's the only difference that you can have. If you press down and square at the same time, it does a little front kick, which instantly stuns an enemy. Very useful at some points, because you can, when an enemy is on the floor and you go up to him at just the right point and press square, he'll just stab them through the heart and kill them straight away. Doing the front kick and then that, you take out enemies so quickly.
Oh, that would have been nice to know.
Yeah,
I don't know. I thought the combat in this game, for its time, even still by today's standards, it's really fluid.
Oh yeah, it's fun. Don't get me wrong, it's fun. When I said it's a bit button bashy, I didn't mean to.
I mean that was par for the course in 2001.
Yeah, but yeah, I didn't mean to rip on it. It is button bashy, but yeah, it's good fun. Like, it's satisfying, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not. It doesn't overdo the enemies. You're not constantly inundated with waves. It feels fair. But it's so fast-paced and it's so fluid that it's amazing that they pulled this off when they did on this console that had just come out.
Yeah. I mean, the great thing they did is that you auto-lock to the enemies as well. Because if you had to aim or anything like that, which, whilst we're on that, how fucking shit is the bow and arrow?
I never used it. Not one arrow.
I did it a few points. Like,
wait.
Some bits.
I take that back. I took out one archer on the top because I didn't want to waste my matchlock bullets.
So there are some areas where you'll go into them and there'll be like guards fighting enemies. And if you take out the enemies before the guards die, you will get an item off them. So you might get a herb or, which is another callback to Resident Evil. You use herbs to heal.
And I didn't know this until the end of the game. You can upgrade your herbs.
Yeah, for the American listeners, I said herbs.
I heard that. Got a little tingly there.
Ooh.
Mike said it right.
Yeah, so they will give you things like herbs, and I think some of them give you, the jewels that make your health or magic longer. You get some of those. So the first time I tried to use the bow and arrow, there's one bit where you're up on a balcony and these guys are getting hit down at the bottom, and I tried to use the bow and arrow, and it was the first time I tried, and I just could not get it to work. This is another interesting thing, though, on the analog stick front. You use the analog sticks to aim the bow and arrow.
Oh, I thought it was just straight up wherever the hell it felt like aiming.
No, you could aim up or down using the right stick.
Interesting. Did not know that.
But yeah, awful, absolutely awful. I just got to a point where if there was archers, I just ran.
Yeah.
Just no good. But the was it matchlock?
Yep.
So essentially the only gun in the game. You can get these burst bullets for it, and it essentially makes it a shotgun, but it's quite a long-range shotgun compared to most games. The only time I really used it was for that giant wasp boss.
Yeah, Hecuba.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the only time I only ever found 10 bullets for it. 10 burst bullets.
See, you could upgrade those as well. So
no.
if you get the normal bullets, you can use the souls to, like you can with the herbs, to upgrade to medicine. You can upgrade the arrows to fire arrows.
So where did you go to upgrade that? Was that in the enhance menu?
Same place, yeah.
Never saw.
So
that.
you know where all your swords are listed. It's
Yeah.
literally right underneath. You can't miss it.
Oh, I guess I missed it.
Yeah, it can. So you can upgrade the herbs to medicine. You can upgrade the arrows to fire arrows, which I never used, and you can upgrade the bullets to the burst bullets.
So on the topic of medicine, this game was really sparse in its distribution of health.
I think it relies on you just when you're low on health, just managing to kill the enemies and sucking the health from them.
Yeah, which I had to do at some points because when you save, it doesn't restore your health. They'll give you like a little pot next to it with a bunch of magic that you can restore, but it doesn't restore your health. So going into boss battles or after boss battles and I would save, I'd then have to go on a hunt to get my health back up and then backtrack to the magic mirror to save again.
Mm-hmm. There was one, I did the Dark Realm like as soon as I could, which I'll go into in a moment, and I came out of the Dark Realm with no health items and literally like the tiniest slither of health that you can possibly have. One hit would have killed me. So I went and saved, make sure I used a separate slot just in case, and then went and fought some enemies just on the hope that I'd get some health, and then finally got my health up pretty much to the top after just killing after wave and being careful
So
not to get hit.
did you actually
then went back and saved.
Did you actually beat the Dark Realm?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. But I went in there with quite a bit of medicine. As I said, I was loosely using a guide, so I was picking up.
I never had more than 2 medicines in stock at any given time.
I went into the Dark Realm with 6 medicine and 2 herbs.
And you came out with none.
I came out with none, yeah.
Yeah. But the result of it
I knew about upgrading the herbs to medicine, which you didn't. So
yeah. The result though is the best weapon in the game.
Yeah, which you get just before the last boss.
Which I ended up beating without that, and it was stupid difficult.
I died on it once, but that's because I thought, I've got the ultimate weapon. I'll just keep hitting it. But yeah, eventually just killed me. I had to be a bit more strategic with it. Yeah. But yeah, you get that. Is it the I want to say Bushido Bishaman blade? Bishaman sword.
Is the It's named after the Shinto god of war Bishimonten.
So this one, you don't have a magic meter for it. When you press triangle, you do a combo as normal. When you press square. When you press triangle, Samanusuke he spins and does like a spin attack, and magic kind of comes off it. But it's unlimited. There's no magic meter at all.
Oh.
So on the last boss, literally every hit you can do on it,
that would make it so much easier.
Yeah.
So
and it's so strong as well. Like when you go down. So you get the sword just before, you go down that kind of long spiral staircase.
Yeah.
Before the last boss. All the enemies there with the Bishaman blade. Again, sorry for pronunciations. Literally one hit on every single enemy on the way down.
I just ran past all those guys on that.
Yeah. So supposedly you can unlock that so you can have it at the beginning of the game on your next playthrough.
Oh, that'd make it real easy.
Oh, yeah. Gotcha.
So to get to the Dark Realm, there's this weird little guy whose name is Minogoro, and he's known as the Gatekeeper, and he's this weird little guy wrapped up in a cocoon who drops down from the ceiling in certain spots, mostly in save rooms, and he offers...
Kind of looks like he's wrapped in lettuce.
Yeah, or seaweed or kelp or whatever. Offers you the option to go to the Dark Realm, which is essentially like an arena-style battle with 20 levels, and you have to get through... Once you beat a level, the enemies get progressively more difficult, but you have no option to save at all, and you have to get through all 20 in one shot.
Yeah.
And if you die, you die. You're done.
Yeah. But the good thing was, I never actually used these until the last 2 bosses, but there's Did you ever pick up a talisman?
I did.
Yeah, so obviously your talismans, what they do is if you die, you're instantly brought back to life with full health. I had one of those going into the Dark Realm. There's another one in the Dark Realm because as you go through the stages of the Dark Realm, some of them have chests in, so there might be healing items. There's some of the fluorites, and so you have to do the Dark Realm if you want to get all the fluorites. And one of them had a talisman in as well. So I went into the second to last boss with 2 talismans, used one there, and I had another talisman on the last boss as well.
Interesting. Speaking of the fluorites. I know you picked all of them up because you were loosely using a guide. I don't know if I believe that Dan picked all of them up organically without a guide.
Yeah, me neither.
I mean, I made it to the end of the game, and I only had 10, and I was checking everything.
Yeah.
You get an item halfway through the game that allows you to see them twinkling on the ground.
But are some of them missable? Because you get to a certain point in the game where... you can't get to certain parts anymore. So there's like there's an explosion that his sidekick does. I can't remember her name.
Kaede.
Kaede, yeah, she sets off some explosives, and the keep that you're in of the other clan, there's rooms that just become inaccessible. And you can't go all the way back. And I'm sure you pick up fluorides before that. And you end up at the beginning, you end up going through that cave and you can't come back through. I'm sure there's one before
you,
there.
you can never come back up again. I think there is one at the beginning.
So they are missable. But what do they actually do, other than being bragging rights?
I want to say they unlock something.
Here, let me have a look. Let me have a quick goggle.
What do they do? Yeah, I have no... What are the fluorites for? Serves no purpose in the game. Collect these to earn rewards at the end of your quest. See the secret section for more detail. That's all they do. They give you unlockables.
Okay. 20 fluorides.
I only made it to the end of the game with 10.
Okay.
But some of them are in the most random places.
Right, so... The page I've just pulled up to try and find out what they do, right? I looked at this. Apparently there's an unlockable easy mode, right?
Dan mode!
There's 2 ways of unlocking it, right? One of them is if the first boss, Osric, beats you 5 times or more, the easy mode is unlocked. Understandable, makes sense, okay? The other way beats the game 4 times.
Seems like the opposite way to unlock easy mode.
Why would you need easy mode?
You're obviously really good at this game, so here's an easier way to play it.
Oh, here you go. So, if you collect 10 or more fluorites during the course of the game and successfully finish, there will be an extra costume available for Samanusuke when you begin a new game, a cuddly panda suit. And then when you restart, select Samanusuke Extra to play as the big bear.
I always kind of like how Capcom puts that goofy shit in there.
And it says, note the daisy gauntlet and stuffed friend in the mucus pouch.
Say that again?
So, you have a daisy gauntlet, and it says there's a stuffed friend in the mucus pouch. Hang on, I'm going to...
The fuck's the mucus pouch?
Musha and a suit. Let's have a little look. I didn't know about this. Images.
Finish the game
man.
on... What?
This thing looks fucking ridiculous.
Give me a link. Let me see. Apparently, finish the game on any difficulty to unlock a sneak preview of Onimusha Warlords 2.
Oh, yeah, I unlocked that. I had a little look at that.
That's interesting that they already had a trailer for the second game by the time the first game was finished.
Well, like I said, it was always planned to be a trilogy.
What am I looking at here? You sent me a link to... Wait.
Hang on. Wait, I just sent the picture. Here you go.
That panda's terrifying.
There you go. Supposedly, if you press L2, you can take the head on and off, so you can just have his head sticking out. Copy image. And this is one with where you can see the daisy gauntlet. Hang on. There you go. This is just a big flower on his arm.
Oh, God. So, one thing we forgot to mention about in the combat, though, is you have the ability to block. You have the ability to sidestep / circle strafe. But then you also have the ability to press down on the D-pad, and he just jumps backwards at certain intervals. Adds quite a bit of depth to the combat on it. It's not just stand there and hack and slash. I mean, the enemies do take out a healthy chunk.
Well, the enemies as well, you have to kind of learn their the way that they fight, because I would say you can block 90% of every attack in this game, but there'll be the odd one you can't. So you've got like the big ogre guys, for example. They do an attack where they'll spin their axe round, and you can block that, but then they'll spin again straight afterwards, and you can't block the second one. So what you have to do is block the first one, then jump back for the second one, and you have to learn the little techniques as you go through.
Some of them hit you hard enough to stun you, like you've blocked it, but it stuns you and it opens you up, and that's when they come in and hit you again.
Yeah. Really, like when you first encounter new enemies, it can be a bit of a learning curve, and they'll, like Eric said, it will take so much health off of you.
Oh yeah, or the ones that slam you and you get knocked down to the ground. He takes forever to get back up.
Yeah, he really does. One of the hardest enemies. The enemy itself isn't hard, but there's some areas that you go to, and there's these like floating orbs made of skulls, and what they will do is any of the souls that come up from the enemies that you've killed, they will absorb them, so you don't get a chance to. So if you're running low on health, don't have any health items whatsoever, and they're soaking up the health souls, you just have to keep fighting until you can manage to hit one of kill the orbs. But if there's like 3 of the orbs, as you kill one, the next one will absorb. And then the next
But when you finally kill that last one, it's just an influx of souls.
Yeah, so is.
What do you think of the bosses in this game?
Good, yeah. Like, considering the combat is the way it is, and that's not to shit on it, because as I said, I had a lot of fun with the combat, you could have ended up with the bosses being very samey, and they weren't. The first one was kind of just introduction to boss fights. It was a big enemy, basically, wasn't it?
Yeah, you fight Osric again, who's the one that technically kills you at the beginning. You fight him in a cave. Then you fight Marcellus on the top of the castle. He was actually kind of difficult.
I didn't find him too hard. He was all right, actually, I thought.
He's constantly blocking, so at this point you only had the raisin at this point, or did you also have the fire?
You had the fire as well.
But you didn't have enough magic to really do more than 1 or 2 magic hits at a time. And what's cool about the bosses is that if you continually hit them, they'll occasionally pop out souls. The most important ones being the bluish-white ones that give you your magic back. So you have to find an opportunity within this boss battle to stand there and suck in the souls without getting hit. Because if you don't do it quick enough, they float away and disappear.
Yeah, and you're defenseless while sucking up the souls.
Yeah. So you fight Marcellus, and then after that you fight the reincarnation of Samanosuke.
Yeah, that was an interesting one.
It just came out of nowhere.
Yeah, so there's one point in the plot where Samanosuke randomly appears back at where... I keep forgetting her name.
Kaede and Princess Yuki.
That's it. Yeah, and Princess Yuki, and he goes and he attacks them.
And he gut punches her.
Yeah, he does. Right punch to the womb.
Yeah, just gives her the ovarian delight.
Nice. But yeah, you end up facing him down underground. And he essentially blocks near enough all of your moves. You've got to wait for... Manage to block one of his attacks, and then once he goes to try and use his magic attacks, that's when you get your opening.
It's kind of like the... Dark Link battle from Ocarina of Time.
That's instantly what I thought of when I was playing it.
Yeah.
I mean, you're even in a little pool of water as well.
Yeah. I liked that battle. It really challenged... I think that one was one of the more challenging ones.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Is it the wasp after that?
Yep, Hecuba.
Yeah, so... who is it who turns into her?
It is... the... shit. Let me pull it up here. I've got it. Just a young human woman. She claims that she is Nui, saying she serves Princess Hatsu, and tells them that Yuki is underground. Then Kaede looks after her, and that's when she captures Yuki and Yumamaru.
That's it, yeah. But her transformation was very Resident Evil.
Yeah, it was. I mean, she was a pretty lady, and then she just turns into this giant bug.
But yeah, her fight was quite interesting, because that's one where you kind of had to use... Well, I had used the matchlock with burst bullets, and as I said, I went in there with like 50 plus.
I'm not a big fan of boss battles like this. I get them, but I don't like the ones where you have to deal with the boss, but you also have to do crowd control. So you're in this room where you have a certain walkway. It's like a zigzag style walkway with water on either side, and these scorpion style enemies come up out of the water, typically 3 at a time, that you have to keep at bay, while also trying to dodge the attacks of Hecuba. She's got some pretty obvious tells about when she's going to attack. So as soon as she goes something like, yeah, you just press L1 and block her attack. But if that pushes you into those...
all of her attacks were blockable as well, weren't they?
Yeah. But she can push you into those scorpions who can then gang up on you. And if you're already stunned from her attack and they start hitting you, you're just going to lose a bunch of health. So there was a period where I had to sit and avoid her, and then just farm those scorpions for a few minutes to try to get my health back up.
Did you? How did you? Because you said you didn't have many bullets with the matchlock. How did you defeat her? Because I couldn't really. Admittedly, I was just blasting her with it. I couldn't really see any openings where you'd get her with the sword.
So there are a few openings where what I would do is I'd have to time it so that I would wait till she floated around behind some of the scorpions, and I'd use the lightning bolt attack, hoping that she would either float into it or that she would stay there long enough for me to hit her with that. And then I had to sit and farm the scorpions to get my lightning bolt attack back up, or my wind attack.
Oh man,
it was a difficult battle. No,
compared to what I had to do. Yeah, it felt like a Resident Evil boss for me. Like I literally was just using the gun, and then like obviously the auto lock sometimes would lock onto scorpions as well, but the burst bullets like just killed those in one hit as well. So even when it auto locked to those, it was fine because I was just stood there kind of firing and then blocking when she came down.
Yeah, that one was a difficult boss battle, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, but you end up going into the demon world eventually.
Yes.
And that's where you bump into the scientist again. I'm really shit with these names. Sorry,
Marcellus.
Guildenstern.
Yeah.
Is in there, and yeah, he's basically upgraded Marcellus, and you have to fight Marcellus again. That wasn't difficult, I didn't think.
So this one actually really sucked for me because I was completely out of health at this point, and coming to that battle. Interesting choice. They put a treasure chest in the boss battle room. So as soon as the battle starts,
isn't it?
Yeah, I think I had a third of my health bar, and I was trying to go in and just backstep to get that medicine, and then I'd wait till he hit me a couple times and use that. I probably after 3 or 4 attempts of that, I'm like, you know what? I need to just go farm for health, so I come into this battle fully healed up. After that, it got a little bit easier, but he's got 2 phases where the first one is he just uses really powerful magic attacks that you can block, but they stun you, and you can only attack him with magic.
He has a shield, doesn't he?
Yeah, so you have to wait for your opening to hit him with magic, and then after you get him to the halfway point of his health, he goes into dual sword mode and becomes really fast. You can block everything that he does, but your magic is going to be harder to hit him because he just darts away immediately.
I did die on him. But I had talisman. I went in there I had full health. Obviously, there was the medicine in the box. I can't remember if I had any health items. I think I might have had 1 herb and got that medicine from the box. And I did die once after using those. And that's when I had the talisman, but then was able to beat him after that because I went into the final boss. Because there's 2 medicines on the floor just before the final boss. I went into there with just those and 1 talisman.
I liked this battle. This one just reminded me of like, okay, I just got to get good. Like I got to learn his pattern. It wasn't one of those like Osric at the beginning where he's got 1 tell and then you just attack him and he dies. This one required a bit of effort.
Yeah, the general style of the game once you go into the demon worlds, the aesthetic just changes so much. You know, like the walls and stuff are moving. It's all very kind of organic and dark and creepy, whereas the rest of it's all kind of how you'd imagine kind of typical sort of feudal Japan buildings and areas and things like that. And it was a good turn. Like it looked great, and with the game so far building up to it, it didn't feel too jarring because all of the enemies that you face, they're all monster-like, and some of the ninjas and stuff that you fight, they're kind of zombie-like, and it kind of works, but it's not thrown in your face the demonic side of it. And it could be very easily jarring to suddenly have this last section that is so kind of demonic and dark and weird and it's like slimy and wet, isn't it?
Yeah,
and it doesn't jar. It does a good job of transitioning into that.
I think the introduction of Fortinbras was a little abrupt.
Yeah.
So after you beat Marcellus, you go into another room where you can restock your health, save. You get a map. Why do you need a map? And then, the next room is a set of stairs.
And then that's also the room where you get the sword, the best sword.
Oh, that's where it shows up?
Yeah, so in that room that looked like there's kind of 4 kind of purple fingers, like, in the wall?
Yeah.
Yeah, you use the ocarina that you pick up for doing the Dark Realm there, and they kind of curl up, and then you go in there and get the sword.
Oh, got it. I was wondering what that pulsing butthole on the wall was.
Yeah, this is.
There's a sword back there.
You know what they say? Pulsing buttholes leads to swords.
Not heard that, but
Yeah,
I'll keep that in mind. Yeah, you go down the spiral staircase. At the bottom, there's one of those invisible ninjas, and then 2 medicines sitting on the ground. I just ran by him, picked up the medicines, and booked it into the final room.
Yeah, I one-hitted him.
Oh, with the Bushi,
sword,
the Bushimasto or whatever the hell it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Fortinbras is this giant
Imagine if
serpent.
In Disney's Aladdin, when Jafar turns into the snake at the end, imagine he had sex with that giant gargoyle from the mountain in Fantasia.
That is exactly it. This is a fun final boss. I really enjoyed this last boss.
Yeah, it is.
So you're in a kind of an alcove or an entryway to this big, it kind of looks like a cathedral where Yumimaru and Yuki are up above and there's staircases on either side, but Fortinbras is just sitting there ahead of you all curled up with his, like a cobra. And
Yes. Yeah.
you can run up and attack him, but he's got just a huge gamut of attacks that he can hit you with. Everything from flame to randomized lightning bolts. He can strike at you. And then the most devastating is he can actually pick you up. And I died 2 or 3 times because this happened. I didn't get out of the way fast enough. He picks you up, brings you up in his face, and your health just diminishes. I'm like, well, how the fuck do I get out of this? Apparently you have to
Just need a button tap.
just mash buttons. And I think it's like 20-ish times before he finally releases you, but you lose a ton of health in the process.
Yeah. It's harsh. Real harsh.
But this is where I discovered the importance of side strafing. He's got the lasers, too, that he shoots out. So as he sends out these random lightning bolt clouds, he's lasering. So not only do you have to watch where the purple is on the ground, you have to keep an eye on his head for where the lasers are going to come out and side strafe to those. This is where having the left on the D-pad broken did not help.
I can imagine.
It's like, all right, I'm all the way to the right, and fucked. But the goal of this one, this was really difficult without the most powerful sword.
It's funny, even with the most powerful sword, it still takes a long time. Because, when you hit him, you keep hitting him, and eventually he kind of cowers down, doesn't he? And then you hit him whilst he's down. When he's down, that's the point where you're actually doing damage, and you still have to... It's still like maybe 20, 25 of those hits with the with the best sword.
So you're not doing damage to him as you're hitting him, you're just trying to get his head down?
Yeah, I think so. That's what I took from it.
Interesting. I mean, that would make sense.
But that's what I took.
Apparently the matchlock and the bow and arrow have 0 effect on him here.
That's a good job I didn't try those.
Because I was trying to shoot him from a distance the first couple times because I ran out of magic. Occasionally he will pop out orbs, but they disappear much quicker than any of the other boss orbs. So did you ever pick up that item called the Soul Absorb?
Yes.
So if you run up to him right away at the beginning and you drop that Soul Absorb, it puts this purple circle down that automatically absorb souls for you as they pop out. But it doesn't last the entire battle.
I was going to say, is it only temporary?
Yeah, it's a temporary thing. So that helped out. But for me, it just came down to sheer luck and just memorizing where things were going to be going. I think I made it through. I'd used up both of my medicines, and I had just a ballsack hair of life left.
I'm trying to think what I ended with. I ended up with quite a bit of health left, but I did die on this, even with the most powerful sword. I did die once, and that was even with the talisman, so technically I died twice, I guess.
See, I don't know if
but
I
yeah,
had...
fun last boss, a bit out of nowhere. You'd never even heard his name before then, had you? He just kind of shows up.
No, he just shows up. Well, yeah, because... He was the one who's supposed to instill the final amount of fear into Yumimaru and Yuki for her blood to be the most potent possible for Nobunaga.
Yeah, because Nobunaga is actually kind of summoned just before this to come to that place, so he's on his way whilst you're fighting the final boss. Yeah. Because then you get to the final cutscene and basically Nobunaga shows up. and he basically... I forgot her name again.
Samanosuke or Kaede or Yuki?
Kaede, that's it. Kaede escapes with Yuki and the boy, and Samanosuke stays there to face him, and Nobunaga essentially kills Samanosuke.
No, Fortinbras does.
Is it Fortinbras?
Yeah, Fortinbras picks him up as he's running away and kills him and throws him down on the ground.
Oh, yeah.
And
Sorry,
actually, no. Before that, so he's in Fortinbras' hand, and he gets crushed, and some blood spurts out of his mouth, falls onto the gauntlet, and that transforms him into this super samurai. And he cuts off or explodes in this powerful aura out of Fortinbras' hand. Fortinbras throws his other hand towards him. Samanosuke sticks his sword in the ground and kind of goes between his fingers and halfway up his arm, and Fortinbras' head comes down.
That's so fucking cool, that bit.
Fortinbras' head comes down. Good. He's got this weird eye on his forehead, and Samanosuke stabs him in there and kills him, and nobody knows what happened to Samanosuke after that.
Well, supposedly Onimusha translates as demon warrior, and that kind of phase that Samanosuke goes into at the end there, that is Onimusha.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah, which explains after the credits. So after that part of the game, it goes through this little like How I Met Your Mother type moment again, where it just talks about what happened to each of the characters. And Kaede goes on this... No, not Kaede. Yuki goes on this adventure around the world, and Yumimaro goes with her, and Kaede is constantly looking for Samanosuke but can't find him, and then she ends up dying 14 years later in battle. And then the credits, the last scene is Samanosuke standing up on a hill overlooking the Inuyubama castle and walking away.
And then he doesn't come back until the third one, I think I read.
Yeah.
Which obviously I've not played.
And that's Onimusha.
Yeah. I had good fun with this.
It was a great little game. It's deceiving when it says, oh, it's only 4 hours long. My ending time was 3:55 or 4 hours or something like that. I probably spent 10 hours with it.
Yeah. Did you do a lot of backtracking as well?
Yeah, I played this entirely without a guide.
Okay.
So,
I mean, it's interesting, like, I know in Resident Evil sometimes the puzzles don't necessarily make that much sense, but some of these even more so because of the time era it's in, and also there's the fantastical element of it as well. So there's a bit where, just as an example, there's a bit where you have to get through this door, but you can't because there's these screaming souls. And you go, basically you bypass that and go elsewhere, and you end up finding this bell. And it doesn't tell you that this bell will get rid of the souls, but it does. You go to it and use the bell and it gets rid of them.
Yeah.
And it's like little things like that, okay, might make sense in that universe that you're not really sure about, but it doesn't really make that much sense. So luckily there wasn't too much of that. I mean, the boxes that you had to open, they were these trick boxes where you had to get the numbers in the right way. You only had a certain amount of moves to move these numbers to get
those.
Them in order.
I really liked those.
Yeah, they were cool. They were cool. It was nice that they only had one solution, and you had to figure it out. So even if you're struggling with it a little bit, you can just try different combinations.
The other one too, as you're wandering around the world, nothing really twinkled or stuck out. The backgrounds were technically pre-rendered, but they did such a good job of incorporating actionable objects within that, like the books. You'd walk into a room and there'd be a red book or a white book or a green book or a blue book sitting on a desk somewhere. And you'd pick those up, and they would give you this, I don't even, like, translated text. So it'd have the English and then the Japanese, and you'd come across these other trick boxes where it would ask you a question like, what's the name of the chalice that was used for filling up souls? And you'd have to go back through and hope you'd found the correct book, and then read through it and find the correct kanji characters, I think that's what they're called, to put in and unlock that box to get like a power stone or a magic stone.
Yeah.
I didn't find all of those. I think there was one at the very beginning.
Yeah, luckily the guide told me which ones to choose, so I probably ruined that for myself a little bit, but...
Yeah. there's a bunch of just random story elements that were thrown in through random scrolls and other texts that you found too. I didn't read through everything just in the interest of time, but it really fleshed out a lot of the backstory on why Nobunaga was coming back to life and what had happened and how these people are summoning him up and just the elements within to kind of flesh out this universe that probably should have been done through some sort of cutscene or plot dump or something like that, because it's really easily missed.
Well, I mean, if they originally had like 50% of this game done and then they scrapped that and went to the PS2, I mean, presumably they might have rushed to get it out. So maybe there's options, there's certain things they wanted to do. I mean, I'm completely presuming here, but
yeah. I mean, apparently Onimusha 2 is phenomenal. So I think I bought that when I bought Onimusha 1 again. I think I'm going to give that one a go just because one thing I want to talk about is this game, while released on the PS2, was ported to the Xbox a year later under the title of Henma Onimusha, which is arguably the definitive way to play this game. So it's still the exact same game, but they have fleshed it out in a few different ways. There's additional enemies. There's additional areas to explore. It has 5.1 digital audio, enhanced graphics, a new boss, costumes and armor. They've changed enemy placements. But most importantly, they've actually upgraded the combat. So in the PS2 version, for your attack with square, you just have a single attack. The Xbox version, you have a 3-tiered charge attack. So you can hold square, or in this one, X, and he'll charge it to level 1, which does a basic charged up attack. Then you can do level 2, which does a little bit stronger. But if you have enough time to hold it all the way up to level 3, it does almost a one-hit kill devastating attack, but it takes a while to get charged up to that, and you can't move while you're doing it. They also introduce a new orb. They have a green orb that when you kill an enemy, if the green orb pops out, it kind of becomes this tug of war between you and the enemies to absorb this green orb. If you are able to absorb it up on top next to your health and your magic, you have 5 slots. And if you collect 5 of them, you can activate this gauntlet power, which gives you temporary invincibility. If the enemy gets it and absorbs, they go into like the Super Saiyan mode where they turn red and then they get much more defense and their attacks are a lot stronger and they're just generally more difficult to kill. So the combat itself is really cool.
Out of interest, how come you decided to go with the PS2 version over that?
Because I actually, if I'm being honest, didn't know that Henma Onimusha was a port of the original until I was chatting with a buddy at the game store about it. He's like, yeah, you should... Because he knew we were doing this for the show, and he's like, you should definitely compare it with this one. I kind of wish I would have played this one over the PS2 version. I started it last night and got probably 45 minutes into it just to experience it. The one thing that super annoyed me was that you're still forced to use the D-pad, and the original Xbox controller D-pad is garbage.
Yeah, it's not so good, Al.
If you've never used it and you've used the Xbox 360's D-pad, imagine that, but worse. So, I think if you have the option to play Henma, definitely play it. It actually makes the game way better.
Interesting.
Yeah.
See, ports aren't always so bad.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. No, I'm glad you suggested this, Eric. I mean,
yeah, it's been on our docket for a while.
I'm glad you waited as well, because I know there's a couple of times you wanted to do this while I've been off. So, yeah, thank you for waiting.
Yeah, I mean, I figured you'd get a good bit of enjoyment out of it.
Yeah.
I would strongly recommend this to anybody.
Yeah, especially anyone who likes the original style Resident Evils as well. Definitely. I mean, when I realized that's what this was like, I was very pleased.
But you also want a little bit of the original God of War too.
See, I've not touched those, so
you press square a lot and then absorb souls.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Essentially the same game.
Shall we move on to questions?
We shall. So we have an email, but I don't think many people send us an email anymore because of our bustling community over at Facebook, facebook.com/groups patreon.com/Factory Sealed Podcast. You can join in. Very active community, so come be a part of that. Mike, you got the questions page up because...
I've got the first one. I'll have to get the second one in a second. But, so, Dalton Sutor. He says, how do you feel about games with Chinese/Japanese lore? Interesting generally or fart noise? I personally really love the Dynasty Warrior series, for example, but haven't expanded much beyond it. Also, do you prefer more historical takes or fantasy elements?
So, kind of going back to what you said initially, I like it. I really like the setting. Feudal Japan is very intriguing, but I find it a little overwhelming because of the unfamiliarity of the terminology and the names.
Yeah, that's what I was going to go to as well as an answer to this question. It sounds terrible, but yeah, I sometimes struggle with who is who. I mean, you saw how many times I forgot that girl's name, and I've forgotten it again. Whilst you're playing, you can kind of keep up with it, but when you're trying to discuss it afterwards or remember certain points, it can be hard. In terms of, historical takes or fantasy elements, I mean, this combined both, but I know so little about feudal Japan history that some of it felt fantastical, even though it was historical anyway.
Yeah.
I don't mind the two worlds combining at all.
The most recent one that I played that I really enjoyed was Nioh. Really liked that because they took the Souls games and just dropped it into feudal Japan.
Zach Foley asks, did any of us ever play the Onimusha Blade Warriors game?
No, but I saw that Mega Man's in there, so I'm on the hunt for it.
I've not played that either.
Interesting fact here. Speaking of Mega Man, shut up. The producer of Onimusha, Inafune, the artist and illustrator from the original Mega Man series.
Oh, another interesting fact.
About Mega Man?
No, about Onimusha. I've just closed all of my pages, so I can't remember the guy's name, but the person who created the sound, who designed the sound for Onimusha, was the same guy who did the Resident Evil Director's Cut, and he is the one who famously claimed he was deaf for years and was writing all the music for these games, and it turned out, eventually came out that someone else was writing them for them. I can't remember the guy's name. I can't remember the game. Yeah, he was known as the Beethoven of video game composing because he claimed to be deaf, and he did the Resident Evil. There it is, Mamoru Samuragochi.
Yes.
Yeah, he was credited with composing classical music and video game soundtracks, and he finally admitted that he could actually hear, and someone else was writing his music for decades.
Interesting. So like a ghostwriter, but for music.
Yeah, and everyone claimed that he was deaf. But yeah, he did this as well as.
So is he not deaf?
No, he's not deaf. It was back in 2014. It came out that basically he's not deaf.
Huh.
Yeah, same guy.
Interesting.
Right, Jeremy Sanford. He says, didn't you have two other guys on the show? I think their names were Dennis and Thadwick. It's been so long, I hope they are well.
Who?
Dennis and Thadwick.
Dennis and Thadwick. We've had... Everybody who's ever been on the show was me, Jess, Aaron, Nick Stevens, Dan, Tom, and Mike. Oh, and then we had the Final Fantasy VIII show that had Derek and Kevin.
That was a good series of shows, that was. I enjoyed that.
Hopefully we can follow that up well enough with Final Fantasy IX.
Sure can try.
I think with that, though, that's a series, and that's a game we're going to have to go through sequentially. Like, just talk about the game and go through it instead of jumping around kind of like we do with other games.
Yeah, that's how we did Final Fantasy VII as well.
Because I'm going to take notes.
Ooh.
Notes.
Right, Mark Marcheshi. I'm pretty sure I always pronounce your name wrong, but anyway, did you like this era on Onimusha lead of lots of Asian historical-based games? Seems like this and Koei, with their Warriors/Kessen series, made Japanese and Chinese legends a popular subject again in games.
I mean, Dynasty Warriors, when it first came out, was a ton of fun.
I'd not touched it. I'm intrigued to maybe try Hyrule Warriors, because it looks like
it's essentially the same game.
Yeah, I've been tempted to try that, but again, too much to play at the moment.
I think so. I mean, there were definitely feudal Japanese games prior to this, like Tenchu, Ninja Gaiden, things like that.
We need to do Tenchu. I think we should do Tenchu 2 for the show.
God, it's so bad.
Tenchu 2 is much better than 1. Like, it's not as, sketchy.
Yeah.
Zach Forley. Did any of you notice the framework that would become Devil May Cry? I never noticed it until now, but I can see the obvious nods in how it carried over to DMC, and even how early DMC influenced games like God of War.
See, I didn't get any DMC out of this.
Me neither, but I do find it quite interesting, because Devil May Cry basically was the original Resident Evil 4, wasn't it? Do you know about this? Basically, Devil May Cry, when they first started designing it, it was going to be Resident Evil 4, but then it started getting too fantastical and the abilities they were giving, and they realised it wouldn't fit as a Resident Evil game, so they then just changed it into Devil May Cry. And I think that's quite interesting, because obviously this was supposed to be a Resident Evil game as well. Onimusha was. So it seems like, to me, before they actually got to Resident Evil 4 as it was, it seems like they were a bit lost on how they wanted to go with Resident Evil. I know obviously it changed genres anyway, but they were obviously a bit kind of, do we go one way, do we go another? The development cycle of Resident Evil 4 must have been a very interesting one.
And in my opinion, they went the wrong way.
Eric, just
I know I'm probably just wrong. Speaking of that, I think I might spend $7 or $8 and try to swallow my pride and give it another go, because there's a flash sale on PSN right now, and Resident Evil 4 is on sale, so I might. No promises.
Yeah. Well, I've got the up-res version for PS3, and that looks pretty damn good, so it must look pretty good on PS4.
I don't care how it looks. I just think it plays horribly, and it's not a Resident Evil game.
It's not... Right, okay. It's not really a Resident Evil game, but if you just put that to the back of your mind and just try and enjoy it as the game it is, like, I'm pretty sure you'll get some enjoyment out of it. I think you've convinced yourself it's terrible without really giving it a shot.
Probably. It's probably the same reason I hate Goof Troop.
Yeah, maybe.
Mainly at this point, it's just a joke.
Zach Foley is also asking me how far into Dad of Boy am I, because we have to have a lore discussion after everyone gets done. Yeah, like I said earlier, I've not had much chance to play it, so I'm not very far. I don't want to say where I am, because I really don't want to spoil any of it for anyone. So,
yeah, that's one game I refuse to spoil.
I'm not very far at all, and with us doing Final Fantasy 9 soon, I have a feeling it might be a while till I finish it. Sorry.
So, I completely, on the topic of Onimusha, I completely forgot that they had an offshoot Game Boy Advance game called Onimusha Tactics.
Ooh.
Which was like Final Fantasy Tactics.
Interesting.
Apparently not very good.
Well, you've never heard of it before, so...
I mean, I'd heard of it, but I'd forgotten about it. I went through a pretty big tactics phase where I was playing Ogre Battle and Final Fantasy Tactics, and I just don't have the time for that anymore. Like, have you ever played Final Fantasy Tactics?
Nah.
Dude, some of those battles later in the game can take an hour plus.
Oof.
But it's so much fun. When I was a kid and I had all the time in the world, so much fun. I remember trading my original copy of Dark Cloud for Final Fantasy Tactics to a neighborhood kid. I think that was a good trade.
Yeah, I've heard Tactics is fantastic. I remember always wanting to... I've said before on the show that Final Fantasy VII was my first foray into Final Fantasy, and I didn't really know anything about Final Fantasy other than 7. And then Final Fantasy Tactics came out after that, and I remember wanting to play it so badly, and I could never find a copy of it. It was obviously it's days before internet shopping. I could never find a copy of it, so I never got around to it.
If you want to get into it, the definitive way to play it is the PSP version, War of the Lions, because the PS1 version, the story's great, impossible to follow. You need some sort of PhD to follow that story, because it spans over such a long period of time, and you have an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours between plot points that things start to get muddled and confused. And in typical Final Fantasy fashion, it's very political, and you have all these characters vying. It's basically Game of Thrones, the video game, to a degree.
Okay.
But the War of the Lions kind of fleshes that out and makes it a little bit more palatable and easy to understand. But it's it's super fun because you have all the job systems and you can switch characters between different jobs and level up different skills within, and then you build out your parties according to what's going to be in this battle. And like, okay, these people need to be pocketed here, and then you get to group them on the battlefield based on what skills they have. Do you need to be in the back row or off on the side to get to the flank to this guy? It's really fun. If you have the time to play it, it's fun.
I just feel like I don't have the time to play something that in depth for each battle.
Which is why it's great at portable. I've played through a good chunk of it on Vita on the go. I would not have the time of day to sit down and play that on a console anymore.
Yeah, I need to get a new battery for my PSP. Like, it just doesn't last very long at all. But I'm skeptical about buying kind of non-official ones, and all the official ones you can find now are just ridiculously expensive. Yeah. When it comes to batteries and things like that, I'm skeptical about buying the cheap ones.
Yeah, I agree. Any other questions?
No, that was it.
No.
Nah.
So looking ahead here, we're off next week, and then I think we're off the week after that because I technically am still going to be gone. I don't get home until the 3rd, so I think we're skipping 2 weeks. We'll be back on the 10th.
Well, the old schedule doesn't apply to me anymore because I'm not at my old job anymore. So
yeah. So we'll be back on the 10th. We're going to be starting Final Fantasy IX Disc 1.
Woo!
I know a lot of people are excited about that. Then we'll be back on the 24th.
I have never finished Final Fantasy IX, so I'm excited to finally finish it.
I think I've only finished it once.
Yeah, and I will probably get into this onto the show, but one of the things I've always found a bit jarring with Final Fantasy IX is how slow-paced the battles are, even with battle speed all the way to the top. Like, I think it was just the PS1 coping with having 4 character members.
Yeah, I remember the loading screen being very long.
And when it first came out, there was the PS4 port a few months ago. When it first came out, it was still on special offer for the first couple of weeks. So I got it in preparation for us doing this, and I had a quick go on it, and that seems to be eradicated. So I think I'm going to enjoy it so much more.
I'm kind of kicking myself. I'd like to play it on PS4 because I could get through it quicker, but like I said, I'm doing so much traveling in the next 3 months that I just need to have the portability of it, so I'm going to be playing the Vita version.
Yeah.
I was toying with the idea of trying to do a low-level run, kind of like Kevin did on Final Fantasy VIII, but apparently it is very difficult.
Yeah, I'm not making it any harder than it needs to be.
I remember listening to Kevin talk about how he had to spend 20-plus hours doing the triple triad.
Yeah, because you need the items to...
Yeah. I just don't have the patience for that.
Yeah. I mean, what I think I'm going to do is the areas that... Because I have restarted Final Fantasy IX close to 10 times, I think, and just never got into the end either. I've got distracted with something else, or like the slow pace of the loading screens and everything finally got to me because I was playing a game that I'd played before again. But I think the bits that I know like the back of my hand, I might actually just use a guide for, so that I don't... So if there's things that I've missed before, I can see them.
Yeah.
And then when I finally get to the bits where I've never played it, I'll chuck the guide away.
Well, this game...
And then I can experience it.
Historically has one of the best strategy guides ever written.
I don't have that.
It's sarcasm, Mike. It's actually not a strategy guide.
Is it the one with the link?
Yeah. Go to play online.
Yeah.
It's the only Final Fantasy guide I don't have because I can't give money for that.
No, you can't justify that.
Without getting too much into it, though, Final Fantasy IX is great for me because while I really liked the futuristic, modern style of 7 and 8, for me, Final Fantasy has always been about that fantastical realm of knights and castles and princesses and sword fighting and stuff like that, and 9 gets back to that. So
I have opinions on that, but I'm going to save it for the show.
Save it for the show.
Say it. Hashtag save it for the show.
Quite. So hopefully Yam will be back with us in 3 weeks.
Yeah, I don't want him to miss Final Fantasy. He missed the first 2 discs of 7, remember?
I think so, yeah.
Or was it just the second disc? First disc he missed?
Yeah, I'm not
sure. I can't remember.
So as it stands now, we're going to be, our next 3 shows are going to be Final Fantasy IX shows, which is good because then we can just focus on that.
Woo! I am excited.
I'm pretty excited about it too. I'm going to get started on that probably this week.
Yeah, the PS4 version has the speed up feature as well, so I can save some time by like when I'm going across the world map. I can.
I think what I'm going to try to do though is I'm going to try to play up to the point in the game where we stop for the show, and then because I don't want to get ahead and like start mixing up plot points and things like that. Because I think that's going to be the best way to go through it. Is
Disc 1 doesn't feel very long, if I remember rightly.
Nah, I don't remember.
Because there's not many... If I remember rightly, and I could end up corrected on this, I'm pretty sure you can't really touch many of the side quests on the first disc, so you're pretty much just all story, and...
I don't know, it's been so long since I've played through it.
I can remember the point where the first disc ends, but I'm pretty sure getting to it is quite quick.
Maybe you could just level grind and get up to 99 then.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. So...
Well, what I might do, I might even try and do... Because when we did Final Fantasy VII, I did all the weapons, so I might try and do Ozma. And I think there's Hades as well, isn't it?
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah, I might try and do it. I might not have time, but I'm going to give it a
go. Last thing, if you haven't already, would you be so kind as to leave us a review?
Yeah, please.
We need a few more.
We haven't had any in a while.
Yeah. Good ones.
Not nice ones, anyway.
No. Oh, make me sad.
Yeah. And last time we called out for reviews, we had an amazing response, so...
Yeah. So if you haven't, take a couple minutes. We'd be greatly appreciative. Otherwise, until then, come join us at our Facebook community and get in on a little bit of that there fun.
It's madness and mayhem for all.
Quite! Mike, that's all I got for this week.
Me too.
Okay, bye.